I'm starting to get into it, man. It's one of those things where now I'm frustrated because it's like I'm getting pretty good, but I keep doing the same dumb stuff over and over again, trying to get it right. Um, I don't know if it's just because I'm older and my reaction time ain't as good as it used to be. My lateral movement ain't as good as it used to be, but it's like, man, I've almost got it, but I just keep doing the same thing, like not having my racket in the right position sometimes, and but
Takes
it's
years.
fun, man. I do have to say I was skeptical about whether or not I would enjoy it because I was never much of like a tennis or a ping pong type person, but it's definitely a fun game, and I kind of like it too. It's just another opportunity for me and my wife to get out and do some
There it
stuff
is.
together.
Yeah, man. You'll get. I mean, it's taken me 3 years, bro. 3 years of getting beat down by senior citizens.
Are you? Excuse me.
That's
Excuse
the
me.
thing.
Are
Senior
you talking?
citizens, women, it is the
Anybody
most
get it.
non-discriminatory, but like none of that matters when you playing with really skilled people. Like, I mean, if you know how to play, you know how to play. So it's really one of those sports that, you know, none of that stuff matters. It just matters if you got the skill and the technique and whatnot to be able to deliver.
What's Phil got to say? What you got to say, Phil?
Taris, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when you said you were beat down, were you talking physically or verbally?
The ladies I play pickleball with love me, Phil. They're not going to talk there. Physically, they play pickleball.
I mean, you take enough of a verbal beating on this show every week. I just think you need some time to get away from that. You know what I mean?
Oh, they love me. They don't. If they would be appalled if they heard the way that we talk to each other. This one of the ladies is an 84-year-old ex-nun. Her name is Mary Margaret. I mean, no, she'd be if she
and
saw
she
how
beat you. She beat you in pickleball.
Yeah. She got a killer serve. She got a shirt. They gave her a shirt that's got killer on the front of it because her serve is that good at 84 years old. And I play pickleball with some of the best people because, like Mary Margaret, for example, she on her own dime every Tuesday or Wednesday, what it is, she prepares meals for a shelter and takes the food over there. It's a part of her giving back, man. I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I play pickleball with the people I do. They're such amazing people.
Where do you play? Where do you play?
Town and Country, and then we play.
Oh yeah, I know where that is. My daughter used to play volleyball there. Yeah, the courts indoors there or outdoors?
Yes, we have some indoor, but we also play outdoors as well.
Okay.
I just had a meeting with somebody, Phil, who you might be able to give me some information on.
Yeah.
America's for Prosperity.
Oh yeah, my ex-wife was the Ohio director of that for years.
I mean, you got nothing bad to say? I mean,
well, yeah, I do have something bad to say. Yeah, I mean, basically, that organization is the Koch brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Koch
that's
brothers.
their thing, and they're, I mean, you could call them conservative. I would call them just a basic pro-Trump organization, though they were around before Trump, in fairness, kind of low taxes, cut regulation. And some of though I will say, actually there's one Koch brother, the other one died, but to their credit, they did get very involved in those issues about prisoners, about prisoners who have felony, helping them minimize the difficulties of getting jobs and stuff. That was something that was on their agenda. So, they have a mixed thing. Again, my biggest thing is that, as far as I know, I haven't been in touch recently. They haven't said much about. They haven't said anything critical of Trump, which I think they look at everything like a business. It's almost like they don't worry about other than that issue. They don't worry about human rights or stuff like that. It's almost like business, low taxes, cut regulations. That's their main. What were you doing? What was your connection with them?
I've been working on and off, like consulting with them for the past 3 or 4 years, 3 years. And
with the Ohio,
Kentucky. Yeah, I don't have okay. Kentucky.
Okay.
Since I first been introduced to them and I first did my research and my deep dive on the Koch brothers, I haven't seen anything from them that I vehemently disagree with. Of course, they're white rich men, so we have vast different. When you're talking, like I'm talking real with you. I'm not talking. We have vast different views on things, but for where I sit in this world, I align. I don't see anything wrong with America's prosperities, especially with my line of work of being an occupational, like a licensed barber, and having someone advocate for me in that aspect.
Yeah, in terms of regulations and stuff, you mean?
Yes. But like as far as like how people, like you said, they don't say much about Trump. I mean, I don't feel like you said, like they were there before Trump. That's why I don't feel like it's their responsibility to go on, because they are nonpartisan. Kind of like the NAACP is nonpartisan, so they pick and choose. This is, America's prosperity is the same way.
Yeah, my gripe with them from a policy standpoint, which is true, they're typical of a lot of Republicans, frankly, is to them, they don't care about deficits, which I think is the debt is the greatest danger to this country financially. But they just want lower taxes. They don't worry about deficits, which I think is just fiscally irresponsible.
I'm glad I got your input on that.
Phil, I don't disagree with what you say about the national debt, and I've been thinking about that. And that is just such a tough sell. It's not really, but I think a lot of people just don't get it. Like, I think
because it's in the future. You have to sacrifice now for the future. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right that it's it's a way more serious issue than, but it's not a sexy issue. It's not an issue that you're going to win a campaign running on, unfortunately. And the amount of education that it takes, I think, for the average American to wrap their minds around that, unfortunately, it just doesn't get the other issues.
Yeah. No,
he had a calendar, a debt calculator on his shoulder.
Yeah, he did.
On his lapel.
He did. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like you said, Kevin, it's one of those things that it takes somebody who's got some vision or whatever, because it's all basically telling people to make sacrifices now so we protect ourselves in the future. You could say it's a little like climate change, and very few politicians want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Back over there.
Sorry about that. Now I'm unmuted. Hey, everybody. Damon is going to join us. He's scheduled to join us. And Lakita may pop in. She might pop her head in at some point in the show. She may not. But that'll be the 5 for today. Hey, what up, twin? Right here, man. Right here.
I got to jump off. I got to jump off at 2:45 to prepare to interview a very significant individual on my podcast.
Yeah.
Is that the teaser? Nothing else? Nothing.
I got a question, Phil.
It's a podcast crew member. His name is Andre Ewing.
Hey, okay. I got a question for you, Phil.
Brother Dre is gonna be on sanity check.
I got a question for Phil.
And don't
always
give me that.
count. Hold on, Phil. I got a question for you, man. I got a question for you.
Just 1 second. I don't want anybody giving me that, Phil. Why should you be hosting a show called Sanity Check? I hear that enough, but continue.
I thought it was Insanity Check the first time.
I got a question for
No, that was just when you were on.
Phil's always on here pioneering for his Sanity Check podcast. He is. And he's saying, hey, Terrace, why don't you get Ed Gallerine and Melissa Strange to come on Hot Mic?
Yeah.
But when it comes to your guests, when are you going to bring Greg Landsman,
I've had
Conroy, not on the Sanity Check? When you going to bring them on Hot Mic? You talk about bringing me.
You want me to get the? Well, first of all, I'll make you a deal.
Why are you going to bring me? I have to bring my contacts, but you won't do yours.
I can get Landsman, or who's the other one you wanted?
Conroy or whatever.
Well, Conroy. I'll bet you Conroy isn't going to go near this show. He wouldn't go near mine anymore. But as far as Landsman, I think I would invite him. However, I would ask you to invite Galrine to come on mine.
You already asked me that. That's why I counter.
Okay.
And I said that's why I said, why you worried about what my connections and what I should bring to the show?
Because I can't get Galrine to come on. I've communicated.
You apparently can't get Greg Landsman either. Or you would have been like, you would have been like, I'm gonna bring Greg Landsman on. I'm gonna bring Greg Landsman on, and you work on bringing Ed Galleron on. You just wait, just like your peoples, man. You want us to do all the heavy lifting so you can get the credit for it. So you can ask your questions to Ed Galleron and do all that kind of stuff.
Your peoples? What the hell does that mean? Your peoples. That's a good one. I will ask Greg if I know Greg. I'll ask him if my guess is he's willing to come on. I would say this. I don't think it's right to have Damon in the crew because, they ran against each other and there may be some bitterness. But other than that, I
don't think Damon's bitter at all.
I care.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Because I like Greg and I'm kind of.
I can probably tell you that Greg would not come on if Damon was going to be on here. Yeah, I guarantee you that probably would not happen.
Oh, that'd be great if you did, though.
I haven't talked to Greg, but I just don't think after that Genocide Greg website that Landsman would associate himself in any way with Damon because of that.
I agree. Yeah.
You answered my question. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for getting this.
I didn't realize I did, but thank you. Glad I said you're satisfied.
You answered it without even answering it. You know you said it. You said, yeah, bring Ed Galleron on.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what I can do. What are you going to bring to the table, Phil?
I already bring a very articulated and educated point of view to the show. What more do you want?
Okay. Great point.
Hey, I'm telling you, Terrace, if we can pull off that Ed Galrine, Melissa Strange barbershop forum, I'm telling you, that'd be hot, brother.
Yeah,
I have no doubt. I have no doubt we can get Melissa Strange, but you got to work on your boy, your photo partner. You got to get him to be willing to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I doubt very seriously he's going to engage in any kind of debate.
I'm proud of that picture. I'm proud of that. Boy, I am proud of that picture. Y'all can keep posting that up there like y'all do. Phil's trying to fight. Just learn how to fight. Phil doing this up there, and you put me up there with that Galleron. Here's Phil.
Excuse me. I didn't put you up. You put yourself up with him.
You know what? And like I said, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that picture, Phil. I'm proud of being recognized as someone. Okay, the way we talk about historians and how a lot of reason why my social media presence is because I want my children to be able to, my children and grandchildren to be able to know the story of Terrace Horton from me, verbatim. And they can say, you were with Ed Galleron, the man they spent the most money on to date in a primary. You got to meet this guy and shake his hand and look him in the eye and vet him. Hell yeah, I want my grandkids to know that.
You mean the guy who, unlike Massey, was unwilling to force the release of the Epstein files? You mean that guy?
That guy too, man. That guy too.
And you're proud of that.
That guy too. Yeah. Okay. I didn't vote. I didn't vote for him in the primary, so I can say he's got to earn my vote for the. Yeah, I'm proud of that.
I am not finger pointing. I'm just clarifying for my own self. That's all. No finger pointing. Do you? So you're proud of that? Okay, great. Nope. Hey, I'm not gonna. I got nothing to say about it.
I got to jump off at 2:40, Brian, 2:45. So you know.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully, we'll probably all be getting. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get the show started, and we'll get Damon in along the way. And to the audience, thank you so much to the chat. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Everybody looking well as you can be from this perspective. Damon's in the chat. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here. Uh-oh. Do you know me in real life? Where is this hate coming from? Where you're supposed to be with us, bruh, not in the chat. I sent the link to you. All right, let's go ahead and get the show started. And I'll put everybody backstage and we'll get started. everyone. Welcome back to Hot Mic. Good to see you. Let me see. Yeah, Dad, good to see everybody. Thanks for spending some time with us. Beautiful Tuesday. It's hot in Cincinnati, hot throughout the Midwest, and the news is hot. The headlines are hot. Lots of stuff to talk about. I'm Nathan Ivey, your humble host. We got Terrence Horton with us, the elephant in the room. How you doing, sir?
Doing very well. Glad to be here with you guys this afternoon.
And we got Phil Heimlich. As much as we can see, Phil, can you push your camera down so it captures more of you? You cannot hear us. Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Yo, Phil, can you hear us?
Why does this happen every show? Like, why every show is Phil on like a 2 or 3 minute delay for him? Like, what is he doing? What does he do with his?
I don't know what he's doing right now.
He must not be able to see us either.
He must be thinking, why is Nathan taking so long to start the show? That's probably what he's thinking.
You know what I think he does, Nathan? I think he probably got a bunch of tabs on his toolbar, and he's probably switching over to something else, reading it while the countdown is going on without flipping back over. And I don't know whether you got the volume down or what.
He must have the volume down. Can you hear us now, Phil? And we got Damon with us. What's up, Damon?
Blessed.
Like, are you downtown? Is that City Hall behind you? What is that?
I'm down at City Hall. I'm trying to make change. Okay. Appreciate it.
What kind of change? What kind of change you trying to make?
Change for $1, brother. Change for $1.
It's easy. Change for $1. Okay. Phil, you're back now?
Was I gone?
Yeah, you were gone, Phil.
Guys,
we were talking
listen,
to you.
Look, you got to understand something. I got places to go, people to see, things to do. I can't devote my whole life to this thing. Come on.
You're old. I get it. I understand. You didn't want to say it. No, it's okay. It's okay. No problem.
That, but okay.
We're all getting there. Okay. I'm glad you're with us nonetheless.
Yeah.
To the chat, thank you for being here.
Actually, I was trying to watch that clip that you just sent us about Mike Johnson. So that's what.
He's running a protection. He says he's the protection, huh? Protection.
Right.
Interesting. Why would you need protection if you didn't do anything wrong? But, it is what it is. People will figure it out. Let's talk about the big news that happened within the last few hours. That is the Conservative Heritage Foundation Supreme Court that basically has expanded Donald Trump's powers to make him the most powerful president in the last 7 decades, has decided that the Trump administration went too far with its assertions that birthright citizenship should be overturned. So it looks like that's going to stand, which means that if you are born in the United States territories, even if your parents are not United States citizens, you now become a United States citizen. And there's a lot, man. It's a lot of ways you can look at this. One way you can say is that the Trump administration is out of bounds. The other way you can look at it is that the Constitution was meant to be flexible and bend depending on what was going on in the United States. Some would argue that it's time to do away with it. But those are the arguments. What do you think? I mean, is this, if you are in 2026, if you are born in the United States, should you become a U.S. citizen, even if your parents are not U.S. citizens? What do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Because what your parents got to do with you? Like if you are born, like any person born on American soil in this country, regardless of where their parents come from.
Kevin. Damon, you're sideways. There you go. There it is. Nope. There it went.
Kind of like your political viewpoints, Damon.
I knew Phil was going to try to slide something in. but while he works on that, go right ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's always the way it's been. Like if you are born on this soil, then you get all of the rights and privileges of American citizenship. I think the reason, what Trump is trying to do with that is, and this is what I really think is behind it, is getting rid of that, gets rid of one of the layers of criticism that people have about deporting certain people in this country, because it's like, oh, well, if the kids are born here in America, and they're citizens, but you want to send the parents back to wherever they came from, that kind of becomes a crutch or an excuse that people use to say, I don't deport the parents, allow them to stay there. So I think that in a weird way, he's trying to get rid of it, not because there was ever anything wrong with this idea of that, but I think it goes part and parcel with his push to try to deport people. And when you've had kids who are born in this country, then the thing is, the Trump administration or whomever is breaking up families, they're sending parents back while the kids have to stay here and all of that kind of stuff. So I think in some weird way, this push to get rid of birthright citizenship is one more way to say to have to not deal with this argument of breaking up families when you want to send parents who aren't from here back, but their kids are American citizens.
I like that somebody just mentioned what I was about to say. When a person is born in a foreign country and a U.S. military base, they are U.S. citizens, but they also get dual citizenship, because I have a sister who was born in Germany, and she also gets dual citizenship. My son, who's going to run for Germany in German track club next month, his mom is half German, born in Germany, so she gets to enjoy dual citizenship as well. And it gets to get passed down through to my sons. That's why he gets it. So it could be done in the United States of America if it was done. Like, I get what Trump's trying to do, and I'm going to be politically incorrect when I say this. He's trying to eliminate the anchor baby situation, to where people have kids come over to the United States of America. And then we're not just talking about Somalians or Mexicans, or when you're talking about, we're talking about affluential people who might live in India, or who might have money to come over here and have babies right here in the United States of America, so their kids get to have that birthright citizenship, and they go right back over to their country. So when it's time for them kids to come back over and go to college, it's easier for them to assimilate because they got dual citizenship already, or birthright citizenship. So it's I don't think it's deeper than just Trump being immigrant-phobe or any of that kind of stuff. It goes a lot deeper, because fruit that often we go after on this programming, but that's my take on the birthright citizenship. And birthright citizenship, from inception, was to help foundational Black Americans. Point blank.
What's that? So, but I'm going to make sure I want to get an answer from you. Do you think that, so if you're born here in this country, should you automatically make you a citizen, Terrace?
You should be able to have dual citizenship rights. Yes, I believe that you should. I believe that if you're born here, no matter how it happens, if you're born on this soil, you are a citizen of this country.
Right. So if somebody does all the things that we hear Republicans sort of like turning into a boogeyman scenario. Let's say they sneak over here somehow.
You just did that, Nathan. It's not the Republicans. You just did that. You framed it that way. I just went a whole nother frame. And
no, Republicans have framed it that way. No, Republicans, your party. No. Republicans have framed it that way. It's Republicans who have been vilifying immigrants, not Democrats. So yeah, Republicans who have framed it like, somebody sneaks over here and then they have a baby, and they're like, "Hey, you shouldn't be allowed to become a citizen." You're saying they should.
I think they should be able to. The child should be able to be a citizen. The parent should have to deal with it, however it comes. If the parents get deported, they have to make a decision. Do you want to leave your children in the United States system and the state system as a citizen, or do you want to take your child back with you? But when that child's 18 years old and they want to come back over to the United States and they want to assimilate back in, they should have the right to do so, in my opinion.
Or maybe that baby anchors them here and they stay and they raise the kid here in the United States.
And that's why Trump is trying to get rid of it. That was exactly my point. Like, getting rid of birthright citizenship would eliminate what you just said there, Nathan. And that's why Trump wants to get rid of it, because he wants to not use it as an anchor or an ability to keep people who came here illegally to have any grounds to try to stay through their kids. And that's the whole argument. That I think that's the whole motivation behind trying to get rid of it.
Of course it is. We know that. Phil, what do you think?
I'll tell you what surprised me about that decision today. I am shocked that 3 or 4 of those guys actually dissented. I mean, it's in the Constitution. It isn't a question of whether this is a good policy or not. Read the 14th Amendment. It's as clear as you could get. And the fact that Alito and Clarence Thomas and one or two others, the fact that they, despite that language, supported getting rid of birthright citizenship. I mean, give me a break. I thought these were supposed to be the strict constructionists, that follow the wording of the Constitution. Well, anyway, I just think I'm shocked it wasn't a 9-0 decision. Just shocked. It's in the Constitution.
Are you really shocked, or are you more disgusted?
Well, I guess disgusted is the word. I guess disgusted is the word.
But it's not shocking. I mean, Clarence Thomas has been nothing but a rubber stamp on everything that Donald Trump has done, and what I'm more shocked behind is that you had a majority who actually voted in. This Supreme Court has, and this seems to be their MO. Like, they'll give Trump 2 or 3 things he wants, and then they'll throw a bone to the Constitution and democracy every now and again with another one of their decisions. So it's like, if you look at how when they release these decisions in bunches, they'll throw a couple of bones to the Constitution and democracy while also giving Trump, as Nathan said, powers that far exceed any president that we've had, in our history. So that's kind of how they do it, so that they can't get totally land-based. They throw democracy a bone or two here or there.
I tell you, I have more faith in the Supreme Court than in any of the other probably institutions in the government, for one reason. Okay, no matter what their thinking is, they have lifetime appointments. And there's a reason the founders put that in there, okay? Because they wanted to make sure the judicial branch was immune from political pressure. Now, it doesn't mean they don't have their own political philosophy, but these people who want to have 20-year terms or 10-year terms, that's absolutely the worst thing you could do, because, say what you want, but it's that lifetime appointment. Trump can get angry at him and lash out at him, but he really can't get rid of him. And so I just think that is one of the reasons I have some faith still in the Supreme Court.
And to mention, piggyback on that, Clarence Thomas was a Supreme Court justice before Donald Trump. So just because he's rubber stamping everything Trump is doing now, that doesn't mean
he's corrupt. Clarence Thomas is 100% corrupt.
Well, he's been on there before Trump. He's been on there before Trump, and he's been on there afterwards.
I don't care whether he's before.
The fact that he's been on there before Trump,
the guy's taking millions of dollars in travel and perks, which he is required to report.
So he can't have friends. I'm just playing devil's advocate. He's not allowed to have friends. He's not allowed to have friends.
He can have all
Donald Trump. Hold on. Barack Obama, when he got out of office, who was he hanging out with? Branson and all those dudes going jet skiing with
that. Out of office.
No, you don't care.
In office. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying,
you nothing to do with it.
I'm saying the friends, the company you keep. Clarence Thomas is
the money from the friends that bothers me. I don't care about his friends. He can have friends.
He can go on TV. If your friend invites you, if your friends invite you to go,
bothers me. The guy is corrupt.
I know. If one of your Heimlich butt friends said, "Come on, Phil, come with me all across the world," you're going to have some kind of moral compass. I'm not going to go.
I'm in office.
If you were on the Supreme Court, and one of your friends asked you to go on a trip with them, and they did all expenses paid because he needs it for a tax write-off, you'd be like, "Nope, I can't do that."
No, I'll tell you right now exactly what I did, because I had two circumstances. Okay, one was I went down to a particular place in Florida that a lot of well-to-do Cincinnati, I'm not a member. One of them let me come as a guest. Okay. And at the end of it, the guy said, "Oh, he's taking care of your bill," or whatever it was. I said, I'm not doing that. And the reason is because I would have been breaking the law. Okay. It's illegal. Another time I went out some fact-finding trip up to Phoenix or something, or somewhere in Arizona. And the guy who owned the hotel was a guy from Cincinnati. He said, "I'll take care of it." No, I wouldn't do it. And there's another time I had a plane ride from a well-known individual, and I went ahead and paid whatever the fare was. I just got to have a clear conscience about that stuff. However, Clarence Thomas, the legal requirement is he has to disclose any gifts. And the guy took millions upon millions of free trips. They paid for his kids' educate millions.
Right.
Never reported it.
From people
that is corrupt.
From people who had business in front of the Supreme Court.
Even
like
if they didn't,
right.
he had to report it. But you're right. There were
Right.
people at least had a philosophical interest, at least.
Right. If you're friends with somebody and y'all taking trips and that person doesn't have any business that comes before the court, cool. But if
he
it
has
comes
to
before
report,
the court,
he has to report it. It
Right.
doesn't have that exception.
You're right about
Required.
that. I'm just saying there's a difference between that. And that's what makes it corrupt. Is that basically here you are friends with somebody, they've got a case that comes before your court, and you don't disclose or recuse yourself. Wouldn't you say that's corrupt, Terrace?
Well, just to clarify, the guy I forget his name, the guy who paid for so much of his stuff. One could argue, maybe Kevin, I can't think of his name. I will in a minute, but this guy didn't necessarily have business before the court, but he had a very philosophical agreement with what Clarence Thomas was doing or what he wanted him to do. Okay. And whether the guy had business before the court or not, I mean, I'm just telling you what the law is, he's got to report it, and he didn't.
And you know what, Phil, like when I was just joking around, and like I said before that, I was playing devil's advocate, wanting to know where you stood. I stand right there with you. I don't accept gifts, and I don't do anything from anybody as well. I don't. I mean, as a politician, I don't. A politician told me one time, don't even accept a cup of coffee from somebody. So, I won't take it that far, but I see what you're saying, Phil. And you do make
people always say that if your integrity is compromised over a cup of coffee, I would even say a meal, then you don't have much integrity. I would say.
Well, how come you let me? How come you told me
that my influence is probably worth a little bit more than that?
How come when we went out for coffee to talk about something that time, you insisted I pay for it?
I insisted you pay for everything, no matter where we go, Phil.
You can afford it.
Use them Heimlich bucks.
You can afford it, Phil. That's right. Rosemary writes, I agree with Terrace. These unwelcome guests will have to make a tough decision. My challenge for Rosemary would be, unwelcome to whom? They're not unwelcome to me. I don't have a problem with it because that's America. I mean, I think the good and bad of it will weigh down on those individuals. And then I think America comes out ahead, even with people who are undocumented. America still comes out ahead because they're working in jobs. I keep making the economic argument that Republicans used to make. They good for the economy. They buy stuff, y'all. And when they buy stuff, that means that's good for these businesses. They go out and create jobs to fill the demand. When did Republicans lose their way? That used to be what Republicans were all about, Rosemary. So no, unwelcome to whom? To whom? We live in Ohio.
I think
we're not even on the border.
I think it depends on. I think it depends on who you're talking about specifically who you're talking about when you're referring to unwelcome guests. I mean, I think we talked about this on the last show. You're not an unwelcome guest if you have TPS, status in this country. In fact, you are a welcome guest at that point. If you're somebody who's sought asylum and you're going through that process, you are a welcome guest. Now, I would say that, folks who are not coming through those processes, but who are sneaking across, I mean, I'm never going to sit here and say that, hey, if they catch up with you, you ain't got to go. I mean, I think that's the case. Those are the rules that we live by. I'm not one who's just like a blanket. Hey, if you come over here and once you hear, if you're working and whatnot, and you didn't cross under the right circumstance, you get to stay. No, I don't think that's right, and that's in keeping with the spirit of what we do. And I don't necessarily think it's smart for security or national security reasons, because you never know what intentions are who are coming across. So even as somebody who is in favor of people who come over here who are seeking asylum or who get these TPS protections, I don't think you should be going after those folks. But I'm also not going to say if that's not you and you have circumvented the system and that you're here, you get to stay. And I don't agree with anybody who said, and I don't think that that's being mean-spirited or anything like that. It's, hey, there are processes that need to be followed, right? And for a lot of really good reasons. And if you take your chances, you come over here, you might get away from it. But if you get caught, you got to go.
Can I add on to something? When you say TPS, that's temporary
Temporary
Yeah.
until it's safe to go back to their place.
Yes.
That's what temporary
Hold on.
Right. The
Temporary.
conditions have to change.
And when regime changes, conditions
Yeah,
change.
but Haiti,
so within
that
this
hasn't happened.
regime,
It's worse.
within this regime change, Donald Trump and his administration are saying this temporary protection status is up and it's time for you to go. So
No,
that temporary
it has nothing to
is
do with this
gone.
regime. It has to do with where they came from.
That's in your opinion.
No,
That's in your opinion. So why
nobody
in Ohio,
says that temporary means when we change presidents,
why
you got to go. It's just not what it means.
That's not what it used to mean.
That's not
right.
That of course, Phil, you're.
The conditions. Here's the deal. The president or the Homeland Security Secretary is supposed to certify, or they're not permitted legally to send those people back until conditions change. Now, what the Supreme Court said is that decision of whether conditions have changed is totally up to the president. So
that's what I just said.
No.
That's exactly what I just said. I said when regime changes. I said when regime changes, the conditions change. The parameters will change. When there's a
You're talking about the United States.
Yes, when the regime changes, when Donald Trump became the president, he changed the conditions.
That's not what it means.
He's like, well, that's not what it means to you. But what does the Supreme Court just say?
What does the
Supreme Court just say? It goes back to Donald Trump and the presidency. So that's why. Okay, so if you answer me this, then why is the temporary protection status in the Haitians in Springfield being in jeopardy then? If it doesn't have anything to do with them talking about the cats and the dogs,
because Donald Trump said so.
Exactly.
Because your king said so.
But can I explain?
I'm just joking.
What Trump is, they're saying like the decision, in other words, the court's saying that the president, if you will, makes the decision whether conditions in that country have changed. Okay, that's what they're saying. There's nobody, our country right now rates Haiti as one of the most dangerous places in the world. So the point is, yes, it is Trump's decision, but he's not following the criteria. He's just sending them back because he doesn't give a damn what happens to them.
To make my point,
Trump is sending them back.
He's making the rules. He's making the criteria, and he's saying, in my opinion, he's saying
he doesn't make the criteria.
He's saying that he's saying the people that come over here are creating more havoc in our peaceful community, so they need to go back to where they are from.
Which is not true. The only reason why Trump is doing this, and you got to go back to the campaign with the eating the cats and dogs. Trump made this a part of his whole crackdown on immigration and deportation. It was an opportunity. The whole Springfield Haitian thing was complete political opportunism that he used to elevate his larger argument about immigration and deportation. And if you remember, if you go back, J.D. Vance made the statement, I believe it was during the vice presidential debate, he talked specifically about TPS and how he didn't believe that TPS was constitutionally legal and how they ought to get rid of it. I mean, go back and look at what he said. So what they're doing now, or what they've challenged, is not a surprise. This is a direct result of what they campaigned on. And I agree, Trump doesn't give a darn. But this is totally political and just following up on everything that he done. You knew when he won that the time for those Haitians in Springfield, they was on the clock. It was just a matter of time. They knew it. Everybody knew it. That it was just a matter of time before he figured out a way to get rid of them. Because he'd already campaigned on them eating cats and dogs and all. They had to go.
It's dehumanizing.
They had to go.
It's dehumanizing, and it brings the country down. And
it's also contrary to the Bible. Not to throw out a lot of scripture, but if you look up immigration in the Bible, it says we are to. I'm not saying it means we let anybody in, but it says we are to welcome the immigrants and we're to treat them like they're one of us. Okay. Now, when you listen to the hateful rhetoric from Trump and other people associated with him, I mean, at the same time, they're waving their, I'm a Christian, I believe in the Bible. They're a bunch of hypocrites. The Bible's real clear.
If Jesus appeared in America today, if Jesus appeared in America today, as he is described in the Bible, he would more than likely be picked up by ICE and sent to a detention facility.
That's subjective. But
Period.
the people
I mean,
in
but think
Springfield
about
had
so
to welcome you.
that's where this so-called Christian nation is right now. Like I saw a video of a guy, it's called The Good Liars, and they're like Democrat leaning, and they go out to these Trump rallies and they ask people questions. They asked a woman, you know, what if Jesus showed up? You know, should she be let in? Should he be let in? And she said with a straight face, if he comes here legally. That's where we are. I swear to God, that's what she said. If he comes here legally. Not making it up. This is
the
what
Bible
we're
doesn't have that.
This is what we're dealing with. See, people are laughing, but you understand how dangerous that type of
That's just ignorance.
That's not just ignorance. That's the effect of religiosity and ignorance together.
The Holy Spirit has to have a
it's not even religiosity, Nathan, because if you really believe that Jesus is God, all this is his anyway. That's like telling you that you can't come into your own house that you own unless you come in a certain way. Like the arrogance, stupidity, and ignorance that even encompasses that answer explains a lot, like why we have what we have in this country. That ain't even religion. I can't even put that on religion.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on religion because she says she believed.
No, because if you know anything about religion, you understand how ridiculous that response is.
Yeah, it depends on who you are, though, because she clearly believed in
No,
Jesus.
it doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't depend. It depends on how dumb.
It depends on who you are. And to call her dumb is not accurately diagnosing what we're seeing.
Absolutely,
what we're seeing is a mixture of religiosity, nationalism, and just straight up lack of education, and it is deadly.
That's it. Lack of education.
Because but to call it dumb is an oversimplification. We're not accurately diagnosing what we're seeing, and it ain't going nowhere. There are tens of millions of people who might respond in the same way. That is extremely dangerous for this republic. I think what we're seeing is unconscionable.
Dumb people, like they say, dumb people are more dangerous than evil.
Well,
people.
If you get all the dumb people on one side, then it could be really, really dangerous.
The most dangerous people are dumb people.
No, maybe. So I don't think that by the time people really see what's going on, it's going to be too late. We almost there, actually. And I think this is really, really sad. It's almost like the immigration equivalent of the Dred Scott decision. It's dehumanizing, and there's so much lack of education. I see people, not picking on Rosemary, but Rosemary and other people like, hey, temporary means temporary, and temporary means go home. But it was always conditional to what was going on in Haiti. This country cannot do two things at the same time. It doesn't make sense. You can't divest from other countries like we did with USA Aid and then get mad or be shocked when other people from other countries want to come here. If we invested in Haiti and made Haiti more livable, then Haitians want to probably be in Haiti.
Who invested in Haiti?
Very, very sad.
More livable? The Clintons, that regime, that whole Democratic regime with the Clinton Foundation. That's who were invested in Haiti. Donald Trump and this regime.
Bill Clinton didn't do this.
They don't give two craps about what those loyalties that they have. Their time is up, and they need to either self-deport or they're gonna feel the same wrath. I'm just.
And you think that's fair? So you think it's fair for somebody to receive legal status through TPS, and then in one day's time, all of a sudden they've committed a crime because they're here? That makes sense to you?
If they have lived in a community and the community has spoken and said they want them gone for whatever reason. Hold on. For whatever reason. I've watched so many videos where they've said.
Terrence, so what percentage?
Hold on. Let me finish.
Wait a minute. No, I'm not going to let you just say stuff. What percentage of Springfield? Terrence, give me numbers. Give me numbers, brother. What percentage of Springfield's population says they don't want the Haitians there? Because you're going to sit here and say the community doesn't want them. It's the same thing that the white chick from used to be on Fox said the other day. You can't come on here and say things like that. The community does, because you know what, Terrence? Because you don't know. You're just going off of what your talking points are. Two people showing up at a Springfield community meeting complaining about it is
You wouldn't
not
let me
is not the same thing as saying that whole community doesn't want to hate.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about we can go, if you want to, we can look at statistics about insurance hit and runs.
Terrence, you made a statement.
That's one. That's just one. That's just one.
Wait a minute. No, Terrence,
what now? Hit and runs.
Terrence, you're not gonna win this, brother, because you don't have facts. You don't have any data. You're making.
I'm talking about situations. I'm talking about everyday situations that change people's lives. Change every ordinary day people's lives. I'm talking about situations that change ordinary people's lives.
That ain't what you said. You said the community don't want them. Is that not what you said?
When situations,
Terrence, did you say the community
you didn't let me finish my point. I said the community doesn't want them when situations such as hit and runs happen to everyday people who like you're sitting there and somebody comes and hits your car and they're undocumented.
So Terrence, how many hit and runs do you have? How many hit and runs do you have every day where American citizens do hit and runs? That was the thing that killed me about
it's a problem in that community. That's what they talk about all the time.
How many hit and runs do you think take place in Cincinnati? How many hit and runs?
We're not talking about Cincinnati. We're talking about Springfield. We're talking about Springfield.
We're talking about America, brother.
We're talking about a specific community and a reason why they might not want the Haitian people there any longer. Because they're talking about how, for one example, hit and runs. They come over and they drive the cars all reckless. They hit and then they said they hit the cars and it affects everyday people's lives. If someone hits your only form of way to get to work, and now you don't have a way to get to work, and then you have no way to recoup that is hurting your community. And if it happens over and over again, that affects people's livelihoods.
It happens over and over again every day with white and black and Haitian and Somalian citizens in every city, everywhere. This is the type of insane, asinine arguments that Republicans are able to get off. Oh, they don't want to live like other Americans. Hell, Americans are involved in drunk driving accidents. Americans are involved in hit and run accidents every day. So it's better if I get hit by an American citizen versus an immigrant. My life ain't no more or less messed up than if you hit me or if I get hit by some Somalian or some Haitian. And the chances, in fact, are probably greater that the American that hit you ain't got no insurance. Happens every day, Terrence. These arguments are the type of stuff that politicians get out to try to other and create fear. And if you really just took a second to think, that's what just pisses me off about it, is if you were any kind of thinking person, you would see how these arguments just fall short. Any lawyer that took this into a court of law should be able to just dissect this, easily. And I'm not even that.
That's the genius in it, though, Kevin. That's the genius.
Because it's based on fear and hate, Nathan. That's what it is. Fear and hate will override your good common sense. And that's what happens in this country. That's why I always say to Terrence, you smart, brother. I know you smarter than this stuff that you be spewing here. So that's why I know it's just political talking points that you're repeating, because if you actually sat down and thought through some of the things that you would say, you would see how nonsensical a lot of it is.
I mean, I
Rosemary
hardly
writes,
ever get a chance to articulate the point because I'm getting cut off and whenever it gets to sound like something that
don't
doesn't
interrupt,
sound the way
guys.
you
You got
want
to
it
stop
to be
interrupting
sounded.
Terrace. This has been
No,
a
I mean,
constant
like,
problem on this show.
Terrence, I want to hear it.
No, I don't.
I just be trying to help you out for you. I be trying to cut the rope off before you get yourself where you shorten it up even more. That's why I be cutting you off, because I'm like, letting you complete the thought is only gonna make it worse. It's like, brother, stop digging.
To whom?
To whom?
To whom? To the Democratic people who I am not trying to impress. I'm trying to get my thoughts out. I'm not trying to impress anybody on the left, trying to convert them over to. I'm trying to give them an alternative way of thinking. Right and wrong in reality is two different things when it comes to these the deportation and what's about to happen when this temporary status gets revoked. These things I'm talking about are going to happen, not the feelings when everyone gets hits and runs. Like they say, there's been a problem in Springfield that's going to be reasonable enough cause for them to bring in ICE and start harassing more people. That's my whole thing, but you won't even let me get that out because I'm saying they're going to find any excuse they can to start. when they hired ICE, ICE is the most. They funded ICE to do a job. Now they got
a job
that apparently it's going to be rounding up people in Springfield and all these immigrants here soon.
Okay, let me ask you this, Terry.
As soon as the temporary status gets revoked, either they're going to say self-deport or we're going to come after you.
So let me ask you this, Terrence. They built this huge force to deal with immigration. Once we deal with immigration, what is ICE going to focus on then, you think?
More of this type of stuff. More of stuff. More of immigration. They're going to find out.
But once they deal with the immigration, because there's a finite number on that, at some point they're gonna get everybody out they want out. What is ICE going to do then? Do you think?
I don't know. I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm just here right now. Hold on. You asked me a question. You asked me a question. Let me finish it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to have to happen then, but I'm just trying to tell y'all what is happening now, and y'all starting here, and y'all still talking about what are you talking about? That's not real. I don't care. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying these are the avenues that they're about to bring this stuff in. Okay. That's it. I'm not saying I agree with it or I'm trying to win some kind of philosophy with the Democratic talking point people. I don't care. I'm saying this is the reality of things. I've been watching JD Vance going The View. I've been watching JD Vance going all these places talking the same stuff I'm saying to y'all right now, and he's the vice president.
Yeah, he gets fact checked quite a bit. He gets fact checked quite a bit. Okay. But let's move on here. So another Supreme Court decision: trans athletes. Now everybody's waiting on this. The Supreme Court says that states can bar trans biologically born men who now are making the conversion to a woman and they want to play in athletics. They have now been banned. To my knowledge, the last number I saw that there is roughly something. There's a few thousand over. There's a little over 500,000 collegiate athletes, and the last number I read was given that there's about 8 to 10 trans athletes in college. But you know, the Republican Party once again has been successful in making people think this is a big idea that really matters. I don't think it matters. But what do you think? Did the Supreme Court get it right? Should trans athletes be banned from women's sports? What's the fairest policy in your opinion?
You know what? I agree with you. I agree with you, Nathan, that I don't think it's a huge deal, but I don't disagree with the decision because I think I've said this many times before that I don't think that transgender athletes, so in other words, people who were born as males transitioning to females should be able to compete in women athletics.
Why not?
Why not? Because I think of the physiological issues. You know, they talk about all of this stuff about testosterone and these different things that you have to do, but I just think that physiologically there are differences between men and women that I think give you a competitive advantage. Like, look, this is not trying to say that, you know, people aren't who they believe themselves to be or feel like they are who they are. It's not anything about that, but it is about, you know, competitive advantages in sports. And I think that primarily we know that physiologically there's a difference between men and women. And I think that, you know, creating that type of competitive disadvantage, particularly in women's sports, is not something that I believe in and I favor it. And I don't even think that this is a close issue. I think this is like an 80-20 issue. I think if you went out and you polled most people, I think 8 out of 10 people would agree with this ruling in the Supreme Court. I don't think it's a huge issue, but I also don't think it's an issue where I think the trans argument is going to win with most people. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I see that. I think if I had a daughter, I absolutely, for the competitive equality of that, I think we should, you know, maintain that. Now,
let me ask you this, though. Do you think that women athletes should be allowed to compete in men's sport?
No. I think you have women's sports and I think you have men's sports. Like for example, I would not suggest having women play in the NFL just because of the sheer violent nature of the NFL. I think if you put a woman out there and let Ray Lewis unload, I don't care who she is, you let Ray Lewis unload on a woman, that's not going to be a good thing, again, because of the physiological, the strength issues, all of those different things. Look, we just got to accept that men.
What about co-ed sports?
Huh?
I mean, what about co-ed sports? I mean,
okay, so
at what age? What about elementary school? You can't have little girls and boys.
Yeah, but you can't talk about like elementary school, and then as you get up to high school, college, and professional sports, there's an age where that sort of thing doesn't necessarily matter.
What's that age, Kevin? What's that
I don't
age?
know. I mean, I don't know. I think once you start to transition into adolescence, I think that's when
10, 11,
when
12.
kids start to change.
10, 11, 12 is when they usually break it up in Little League Baseball.
Okay. So what about have you ever played pickleball with like couples? Like maybe say you and your wife play against another couple?
Well, yeah, I heard that some 84-year-old woman just cleaned Terrace's clock in pickleball.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not.
I think we're discounting women. Like there's this woman named Riley Gaines, and she's like a MAGA star. She was a swimmer. She got all on her feelings because she was in a race. She came in 5th place. But the person that came in 4th place was a trans athlete. She got beat by 3 other women, and she made a big old deal about the person that came in 4th place. And I'm like, sis, you lost to 4 athletes. You lost to 3 other women. And so, I mean, I think there's plenty of cases where women get out there. You have trans athletes, and these trans athletes, they don't dominate. I mean, I've seen some track meets where it don't even seem like it's fair, but you know, if that's what the country wants. I
just think
I disagree with it.
I mean, look, Nathan. I mean, you can say like comparing pickleball to football or basketball or some of these other sports is different. Look, you can take the best WNBA player and put them in the NBA. They might be able to get out there, but they're gonna get ran. You put the lowest NBA player in the WNBA, and I guarantee you they're gonna be the MVP of that league.
I don't believe that.
And absolutely. Look, we need to quit. We need to quit. I know there's this whole battle of the sexes thing, and people trying to be politically correct and say all of that. But it's like Dave Chappelle said: if you put LeBron James in the WNBA, he would average 150 points a game.
But we're not talking about LeBron James. You said
politically correct bullcrap, man.
This is what you just said. You just said that you can take the worst NBA player and put him in the WNBA and they'll be MVP, and I don't believe that at all.
Hey, can I make a point?
Hold on. Okay. Raise your hand if you ever played basketball against a woman that played in college. Yeah, they ain't nothing to play with.
We're talking about pros.
They ain't nothing to play with.
We're talking about pros, Nathan.
Nathan, can I make a point?
What we're talking about is amateur sports. So the WNBA, NBA, that's a whole different league. We're talking about amateur sports.
College. You couldn't put any one of these college athletes. I guarantee you, take Caitlin Clark, as talented as she is, right? And I'm not saying that she wouldn't be able to do something, but she ain't gonna be Caitlin Clark like
they could in high school.
College basketball.
They could in high school.
Nathan, take Sha'Carri Richardson, the fastest girl. Sha'Carri, my son is faster than her. Then Sha'Carri, should the fastest woman on
your son is a Division I athlete.
Sha'Carri is a gold medal winning 100. They run the same race. Sha'Carri won the gold medal, and my son is a college male athlete.
Yeah, make him a Division I, right? Your son.
You don't know nothing about sports. You're arguing to be arguing. You don't know nothing about sports.
I know enough to know that if your son is a Division I track player, that he a bad mammoth. I know that he ain't nothing to play with.
But Sha'Carri Richardson is the gold medal winner, fastest woman in the fastest woman.
She's also a pro, and we're not talking about pros. We're talking about amateurs.
Okay, the fastest woman on record to run 100-meter dash. My son has a faster time than her. My son is faster than her.
Your son is one of the best athletes in the country, man.
You're talking about women, and you're talking about comparing men and women. There's no comparison.
We're not
There's no
talking
comparison.
about pros. We're talking about amateurs. The Supreme Court ruling is about
it still
amateurs.
tracks. It still tracks.
It does
and
not
still,
track because there's a big jump in.
here's, and I get what you're trying to do, brother. You're trying to support feminism and all of that other kind of stuff. And hey, I'm all for women, but and this, that, and the other. But we just gotta be real. We just gotta be real about some things and quit trying to be nice about it. You
How would being pro-Trump? Wait, that doesn't make any sense. How would being how is this about feminism when we talking about trans athletes?
It is because it's the same thing. You're talking about underestimating women. You're talking about underestimating women. And the first thing that I'm saying is that biologically,
you guys are underestimating women because y'all ain't never competed against no women that have been on the top level. And what I'm telling you is, if I think that we are undervaluing what these female athletes can actually do. I just gave you an example. Riley Gaines is the MAGA star who's known on this issue. She is mad because she lost a swimming competition and came in 5th place. She got beat by 3 women. The transgender athlete who came in 4th got beat by 3 women. So you cannot tell me absolutely that just because a trans athlete is in the race that biological women are gonna lose. That ain't true.
Yeah, well, it kept the woman. It kept the woman who finished 4th from finishing 3rd. See, you're just focused on winning.
Exactly.
It's about displacing. It's about displacing other women athletes who could be achieving. Yeah, you may not win, but hey, if I get a bronze medal,
didn't place.
No, I get it, Nathan. You're missing the point.
You do understand that swimming is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, right?
This ain't about Riley Gaines. This is about whoever spot that trans athlete is taking.
No, it's about Riley Gaines didn't place. To place,
we're not talking about Riley Gaines.
You have to come in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. She just wasn't good enough that day.
We're not talking about Riley Gaines. We're talking about whoever finished behind that trans athlete or whoever didn't make the team because this trans athlete was on the team or got that spot. That's what we're talking about.
We're talking about irrelevant stuff,
about females who are being displaced.
We're talking about she wasn't displaced because she never placed. To place,
Nathan, what is it that Nathan is not hearing about what I'm saying?
Man, you know track, right?
What is it that Nathan is just
intentionally trying
to be provocative because clearly he's not listening to what I'm saying.
I'm hearing you, but you're using
words
that are not
consistent. Your response is not consistent with what my statement was. You're taking your response is going someplace else. That
you just said she was displaced, and what I'm telling you is, in terms of competition, coming in 4th place is not a place.
Can I chime in for
it's not a place?
For 2 seconds. I've had the opportunity to listen to Riley Gaines speak at a Kelly Craft when Kelly Craft was running for governor of Kentucky. Riley Gaines was on the campaign trail for her, and I got a chance to listen to her speak, and I even got it on video. And her story is a lot different than the story that you're telling, Nathan. Her story was compelling. Her story made me feel like, man, I wouldn't want my daughter have to compete against a biological male. So I get what you're saying, but I mean, I have to agree with this decision from the Supreme Court, and not just for college, high school as well, because it just does not make sense.
There are plenty other ways that you can dispose of this issue, right? If trans athletes want to compete, then you create levels for trans athletes to compete. But I think this notion of trying to put unlike things to get and whether you like it or not, whether it's politically incorrect to say it or not, that's what it is. You're putting unlike things in a box.
They're human.
Trying to make it fit.
Unlike. They're human.
Yeah, they're human.
You're acting like they're aliens, Kevin.
They're human, but they're not biological females.
We know that.
That's just what it comes down to. It's
we know that that's not even the argument. The argument is in terms of a competition, the spirit of competition, is this bad for women's sports?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So you got 8 trans athletes out of 500,000 plus, and this is bad for women's sports. That the numbers
it's not simply about the numbers or what is. Look, again, if you had a daughter or you do have a daughter If I had a daughter who was competing and put her life into something, even if she didn't win, but she was denied an opportunity.
I ain't worried about it. I'm gonna tell her go out there and beat whoever steps out there, whoop them. And I don't care whoever it is. It can be a Martian.
But again,
whoever it is, go whoop them.
Period. But again, you're gonna be like, "It's okay, baby." When she gets beat, you're gonna be like, "Oh,
it's one thing if I'm competing against other men. It's another thing if women are having to compete against men in certain areas. And I'm not just going to be one to sit here and says, look, every now and again, you're going to get the exceptional female who might be able to step up there and compete with men. But you know, and I know that is the exception to the rule, not the rule. And so anytime you interject someone who was biologically born a male into a female, it disrupts the competitive equality and balance.
What's the next you're gonna be saying is that we got,
and I don't think most Americans do either.
Next. So you've already assaulted women's physicality. You know what's next? Women is they're going to assault their intelligence. What's going to happen next is that they're going to insult your intelligence. You're not smart enough.
See, Nathan, this is where this is what Nathan, your mentality right there is why Democrats. Your mentality right there is why Democrats lose, because that's where some liberals and progressives try to take this.
Democrats have been overperforming ever since the election of 2024.
Ain't nobody said nothing about intelligence. We said this
I said this is what's going to happen next.
Yes, Nathan, and these are the types of bad arguments that liberals make.
How is it a bad argument?
That is an argument because nobody.
Are you telling me there are already people? Wait! Don't do that. So now you're not even having a conversation.
Nathan, did I say no? Because
you're not having a good faith conversation, Kevin.
Next, you're gonna be challenged women's intelligence.
You know why? You know why I say that, Kevin? You want to know why I say that? Because there's people out there that already do that. They already insult women's intelligence. It's already men out there that think that women should.
That ain't what we talking about here.
There's already men out there that think that women aren't as intelligent as men are, that they're too emotional, that they can't. Can I finish? They already believe that women, there's some people out there who think that women are too emotional, they're not as smart as men, they get too caught up in their feelings, they can't be leaders, they can't lead churches. Right? They shouldn't be in the military. So don't tell me that I'm jumping off the window somewhere.
You are jumping off the ledge because that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about competitive balance in sports. That ain't got nothing to do with leading a church.
No, we're talking about undervaluing women.
What we are talking about here is your reluctance to accept the fact that there are physiological differences that give men an advantage in physical situations. It's why we tell men not to put Nathan. Why do we tell men not to put hands on women?
Because of chivalry.
No, that ain't got nothing to do. It ain't got a damn thing to do with chivalry.
That is exactly why we tell.
It ain't got a damn thing to do with chivalry. You know why they tell men? You know why they tell men not to? You know why they tell men not to? So now you don't believe in chivalry, Kevin? Is that what you're saying? Because they know if a man puts his hand on a woman, it's going to have devastating physical.
It's called chivalry. It's called being a gentleman. That's what it's called. It's called chivalry.
You reaching, bro. You reaching.
I'm not reaching. I'm just keeping it real.
Hey, man, well, check out the chat because I really don't think anybody vibing with what you putting down.
Wouldn't be the first time that a lot of people. It would not be the first time that a lot of good, intelligent.
You try to say what.
It will not be the first time, Kevin, that a lot of good, intelligent, very highly motivated people were wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. It won't be the last time. Phil, you're too quiet. Tell Kevin he's wrong, or at least share your thoughts.
Thank you. Well, I'm kind of a shy individual. I'm kind of have trouble speaking up, so please forgive my humility.
I was just thinking that.
You weren't thinking that. Okay. Well, I will say this. Nathan is correct in that this issue is what I would call a solution in search of a problem. It's a nothing issue really, because the percentage of these trans women that are competing, I mean, it's minuscule. So I think it's important. I don't think we're disagreeing about this, that this is just this is like election fraud. Okay. I mean, it's like, it's number of ineligible voters is minuscule. Okay. It's all just something used for political purposes. Now, however, putting that aside, obviously there is a woman somewhere who could play football better than some guy, like maybe a 5-year-old kid or whoever. That's not the point. The point is that equally situated in terms of their success, a man is always going to crush the woman. I'll give you some examples of that. You take tennis. I can guarantee you, if you go to Wimbledon, the lowest ranked guy in that tournament would beat the highest ranked woman 6-0, 6-0. Okay. And you might remember back, because I used to play tennis a lot. You might you guys remember Bobby Riggs when he played the Billie Jean King or Margaret Court? Or or am I, as Ken was dating myself?
You're dating
Do you
yourself,
guys remember that?
I remember Billie Jean King.
All right. Billie Jean King was like one of the great players of all time. She was pretty much in her prime. And there was another woman, Margaret Court, was like number 2 or 3 ranked in the world. Okay. So Bobby Riggs, who's probably he was a kind of a industry guy, but he had been good when he was young, but he was like in his mid 50s or he was way, way, way out of any competitive tennis. Well, if you might remember, he plays Margaret Court, who was, I think, 2 or 3 in the world, and beat her. Okay. I beat her. Okay. Now, and then now it's true. He then played Billie Jean King and lost. He didn't get crushed, but he lost. Now, there's a lot of people would say that he was always a big gambler and that he just bet on her and made a lot of money. But the point being that everything is equally situated in terms of their, ranks or whatever. Women are always going to lose to men. Always.
Listen, let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you something else to you. There's some women out there that box and/or are really deep in martial arts that will fold you into a pretzel. There's some women out there.
Are you referring to any individual?
I'm talking to any man out there. There's some women out there that's nice with their hands and they train.
Not the point.
It is the point. The point is that we gotta stop underestimating women.
There's some women out there. Nathan is not listening to what Phil said. Phil said equally situated, right? So what Nathan wants to say is you take a woman at the top of her game, say at MMA, and you put her in the ring with me or Phil or anybody on this podcast. She's gonna probably put it down. She's gonna probably put it down because
you're gonna tap out.
No, but I
gonna put it down. You're gonna tap out.
You take the best women's boxer and you put her in the ring with Mike Tyson. And she's going to get absolutely destroyed. Mike Tyson would put her in a coma with one punch, equally situated, right?
So maybe
that's my point.
Maybe it depends. Depends on who she is and what the rules are.
Come on, bro.
Depends on who she is and what the rules are.
You smoke. But
that's not. But that doesn't prove anything. The reality is we gotta stop underestimating women.
Nobody's underestimating women.
Absolutely are. What you're saying is that women can't compete with men. That's what you're saying. And next you'll be saying, or not you, or society will be saying again that women can't think with men.
So for the history of sports, so for the history of sports and competition, we've just divided these things up just because there's this chauvinistic thing that women can't compete with men. It's been shown, and it would be shown and proven time and again. And this takes nothing away from talented women who are talented women in their thing, and some who are exceptionally talented who might even be able to hold their own. But the reality is this: there's a physical difference.
We know.
There's a physical difference. And that's what we're talking about competitively.
Right. We understand. But women have been devalued, doubted, and this is just another example of it. You're too frail. Oh, we got to protect you. And I got a daughter. If she was competing and a transgender athlete beat her, I would tell her to train harder. Train harder.
Let me just say something. Ever since you showed that video of me doing my kind of hands thing, there are numerous derogatory comments in the chain directed at me on this and other issues. I hold you responsible for that, Nathan.
That was good stuff. All right,
So
okay,
Nathan, so what
I
do
don't
you
think
say?
you guys
So
are
what
gonna
do you
come
say to
to.
the women? What do you say to women? What do you say to the women who have a problem with it? So you're trying to say
I would say the same thing.
you're trying to present it like it's men are too frail to do it. What if
Men
you?
are too
What about the women who say they have a problem with it? Don't their opinions count?
Yeah, they do it. They count. But I would tell them the same thing I'll tell my daughter. Rub some dirt on it. Go out there and train and get better. Simple as that. My son plays AAU basketball. It's a boys team. But if they decided to put a little girl on the team and she took his spot and pushed him further on the bench, you know what I'm going to tell him? Get better. Period.
Yeah, he would need to get better.
Exactly. Go compete.
He would need to get better.
That
would be good advice.
I had a cousin, man, she was a dog in basketball. And she used to travel to all these different outdoor courts and ball out.
What's the outdoor court?
I don't want to hear that women are so frail they can't compete. Oh, please. There's some women out there that was born warriors. They stronger than some of these men out here in some cases, and they can ball out if given a chance. All this was politically motivated, scapegoating, fear-mongering, and that's why we got what he got. Like Phil said, this was a problem, a solution in search of a problem. It's a nothing burger. All this did was say women aren't good enough. Women aren't strong enough to compete against some men. That's all it said. It's sad. It's sad, but that's how we feel.
What's sad is that point of view you putting across, brother. That's probably one of the most pitiful arguments I've heard. You're wrong on every level.
Yeah.
You're wrong on every level.
Yeah.
Every level.
You know what? I've been wrong many times. At least.
Well, I agree with that.
Until some time comes out. So we'll see. We shall see. All I'm saying is, before you say women can't compete, go compete against a woman who really about that life, working out. Nope, you're gonna get your feelings hurt. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. You're gonna learn that day.
Again, like I said, I think if you take any man and you put them on the same workout plan in the same sport, and again, this is where Nathan keeps bringing in unequivocal, right? Like you're gonna put a man and a woman equally positioned in a physical sport. I'm not talking about chess or pickleball or something like that. I'm talking
karate.
I'm talking about a physical sport.
Karate. There's some girls out there, and just plenty of YouTube videos. Go YouTube. There's plenty of videos of girls playing contact sports with boys and laying them out.
I want to see the woman that get out there on NFL Sundays. I want to see you. I want to see the woman that get out there.
We're talking about amateurs. That's what this ruling was about. You keep trying to go to the professionals to make your point.
Actually, if I may say, I believe the ruling was simply that the states can make the rules as they choose.
Right.
That there's no constitutional right.
Amateur sport, right?
There's no constitutional right. They're just saying it's up to the states.
Right. Absolutely. You're right about that. Absolutely. Janice writes, it says men and women are different, but both are good in their own way. Darnell writes, I don't want my daughter playing sports with your sons after puberty. Black Lion says, I'm tripping. Darren writes, Nathan is not being organic. Janice writes, it really depends on the sport and the muscle makeup. Exactly, Janice.
Did you have a THC burger before this show? That's what the accusation
was. It was a drink. It wasn't a burger. So
okay, all right. Okay.
See, Darren writes, ain't no
that
woman packing me up.
That one got me. That made me laugh hard right there.
Yeah, right. Please. Some of these female boxers, man, they'll fold you like a rocking chair. They'll fold you like a little lawn chair, man. Please stop. This bigotry against women needs to stop. In the sexism. All right, let's move on. Another topic here. Does anybody, I'll give it to crew choice. Does anybody have a topic that they really want to get to? We haven't talked about. I know Phil's going to be jumping out here in a little bit, so I know I have in my mind the next topic.
Let me just say one thing. I mentioned I'm going to be interviewing Andre Ewing. One of the questions I'm going to have for him is, do the police have any intelligence on any members of this crew? That's one of the questions.
I'm sure they got all on
let me just say,
I'm sure they do.
I'm not going to use their real names. Let's just call them Kevin and Nathan. Okay, just hypothetically. Okay, yeah. So
Why? Because we black, Phil. We black males, we fit the description or something.
Everybody's black on this.
Everybody's black on the panel. Very suspicious of you. Well, speaking of Cincinnati police, I hope y'all talk about the fact that it appears that Campaign Zero was pretty close to the target, with their report. And I can tell by just what I don't hear anymore. I don't hear the protestations of the city and city council. Things done gone real quiet.
Well,
and that tells me
I understand what happened. What are you saying? It's been shown to be correct. I'm
just talking about the response. Since that report hit, the way I'm reading it, and I could be wrong, but the way I'm reading is they must have been pretty close to the target, because I don't hear a lot of the protestations and people finger point. I don't hear that anymore. What it seems to be happening now is they're having behind the doors conversations. That's what it seems like to me. Because
let me ask you a question. Well,
let me just finish this real point. In my opinion, if something was really glaringly wrong with their numbers, they'd be talking about it right now.
Yeah, with all due respect, I think you're missing the point. Let's say the as I said when we were talking about this, let's say the FOP came out with a statistical study. They studied all the contact cards or whatever it was, and they concluded there was no difference between whites and blacks in terms of stops or arrests. Now, if that happened, what's the first thing you'd say about that?
The first thing I would say is you'd
say I don't want the FOP. I want somebody who's an objective authority.
That's wrong.
Not somebody that has an agenda. That's
wrong.
Say.
That's wrong. If the FOP came out with a study, let's say in a month, that contradicted Campaign Zero, I'd want to look at both of them side by side and compare them before I made any real.
To quote my friend Iris Rowley, you can take police statistics to show anything, and that she is right about. That's
including
why,
the truth.
If you want to really know what to do, and I think they're going to do this, you hire an entity that doesn't have an agenda that says we want to end policing, we want social workers replace cops, we want to end.
Who's going to hire the entity? Well, there's always agenda. So who hires them? Because whoever hires them, they're going to be beholden to. So does the FOP hire them? Does the city hire them?
No, the city would hire him.
Okay. So if the city hires them, wouldn't that mean they're going to favor coming out to a conclusion that favors the city? Just like we see with arbitration?
I'm not talking about what hires them. The public defender's office hired this group, okay? Or asked them to, or sponsored it or something.
Yeah,
okay?
they work together.
Okay, the issue is if they had hired a group that didn't have a clear agenda of what they think should happen with police, okay, I would give that a lot more credibility. Okay,
but I think you're very.
Just a second. The fact that this is an organization that says very clearly, you know what zero comes from? That's zero police. They want to reduce the number of police and the use of police.
But
they
also,
by the way, we didn't talk about this. They want to get rid of the idea that if you're in a gang, you have a higher penalty. They think that's unfair.
But here's the problem, though.
Well, we can argue about it, but the point is you hire an entity that at least on the surface of it doesn't have a clear agenda.
I have a question for Phil.
What I'm hearing, though, Phil, is that you don't have a problem with their numbers or their methodology.
I don't have the ability, nor do you, to understand those numbers.
You don't know what I have the ability to do. You don't have any idea.
I'm quoting again Iris Rowley, my friend Iris Rowley.
You're misquoting her, or you're taking her out of context. So what I'm hearing from you is you said nothing to challenge the numbers. You said nothing to challenge their methodology.
I don't know enough to challenge.
Right. So you're trying.
I want an entity that has.
You're fear mongering,
a track record that doesn't have an issue agenda.
I got
to come up with the stats.
When you can show me,
when
you can show me or show us, Phil, in their methodology or where their numbers where they're wrong, then I'll consider what you say is their agenda.
I got a question for Phil.
Let me ask you a question.
I got a question.
So for me, go right ahead. Go, Terrence.
If a poll comes out and says that 60% of the people in this country support Donald Trump, okay? Now, are you? I say challenge that poll. Well, I got news for you. I couldn't challenge it because I don't know a damn
I
about
could challenge it.
Hold on,
Yes.
Phil, you said the
If you
public
let me
defender.
You
look
don't
at
know
the
anything about polling,
methodology.
Nathan. Neither do I. It's a study.
But
It's a
you
You don't know
science.
what I
You-
know,
you
Phil.
said-
You don't
you
know
said
what
the
this
public-
brain holds.
You said
You
the
have
public
no idea. And what I'm going to tell people, I'm going to land this plane real quick, Terrace, and give it to you and get out the way, bro. But let me correct Phil real quick. You don't know
Please,
what I know
please.
or what I know
Okay,
when I'm
I'm
looking at
sorry.
a
You're
poll.
a
You have no
statistician.
idea.
I'm
What
sorry.
I'm here to
You
tell
got
you
a
is that
degree in statistics. I'm sorry. I apologize.
polling is a science for those who know what they're
So is
talking about
statistics.
and what they're looking. And so is statistics.
Yes,
And there are
exactly.
scientists who use the scientific method and apply it to try to come up with these facts and figures. So yeah, you can look at it if you know what you're doing. You can determine whether it seems like it's a
If
real
you know what
poll,
you're doing, exactly.
if you know what you're doing. And so
Yeah.
why are you assuming that the people at Campaign Zero don't know what they're doing? And you can't say anything about the numbers.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, I mean, go ahead, Terrace. I mean, I think I made my point. If you're
I
going
have a
to
question.
use statistics, have somebody come up with them that doesn't have a clear issue agenda like they do. That's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
you
saying.
can't tell us where this agenda is
Yeah,
being reflected in the numbers.
I got a question for him.
Well, I
got a
can't.
question.
Maybe
Nathan,
they're right.
It's a good
the
question. Hold on,
appearance.
let me get
It's
this question. I gotta get the question.
I know,
Hold on,
but appearances don't matter.
I've been patient. You said that they were hired by public defenders, right?
Well, whether they were hired or asked to do it, I don't know.
So the public defender. Hold on.
It
Let
was
me ask a question. Let me ask a
sponsored by the
question.
public defenders.
So the public defenders see a certain amount of caseloads that they could say, "Hey, we're seeing this trend come in. Can you please assist us in seeing if our trend of what we're so maybe we can defer things or,
Well,
or have some kind of programming?" I'm asking you, is that a logical? Is that a logical
No,
thing? Why
it's
not? If
it's
you
not
see those
logical.
things, it's agenda based. Even though the people who see most of the public
Let me
defenders,
clarify.
the
No,
public
let me
defenders who have to see the people who can't afford Phil Heimlich as their lawyers might see a trend in certain things. So they say, "Hey, we're seeing a trend. Can we find some data behind it and hire a group to go get the data?" That only makes sense. What you're arguing makes no
but
sense.
Which group do you hire?
Whoever.
Campaign Zero.
This is the problem. This is the problem about where we are right now. And if you listen to Phil, this is what you're getting from a lot. Because I just did an interview on 700 WLW just yesterday, and this topic came up. And to Phil's point, Campaign Zero, because of what they stand for, because the face and the representative of that is somebody who's Black, regardless of what the data
Nothing to do with race.
Wait a minute. No, but Phil, let me finish. Maybe not with you, but some people are viewing it that way. Because of the source of even though this is city data, right? This is not data that Campaign Zero came up with. This is the city's data from their contact cards.
How do you even know that? How do we even know that?
Phil, because they requested
got it from the city.
Maybe they're not telling the truth about the data that they saw.
Right.
Well,
and I'm not saying that's the case.
I don't think that.
I'm not saying that they're
Phil, just stop. Phil, just stop.
I'll stop.
Just stop. Because what you're doing is and Nathan is right. You're fear mongering not based on any facts, and you're actually being very dismissive and insultive. So basically what you're saying is this organization has taken city public records and they've cooked it because you don't trust who they are. You don't.
I don't know if they have or not. I have no idea. It could be great.
Well, then why would you even make that?
Because what I'm trying to say is
what basis do you have to doubt their findings, Phil?
Oh, no, let's be clear. I have no basis in terms of I've looked at these cards and I understand whether what they say is what these people say. I'm not saying that. It could be that the conclusions they drew are 100% accurate. I don't know. It very well could be.
Oh, pretty close.
What I am saying is, if you are going to hire someone or ask someone to do a study to determine whether there is racial profiling, for example,
Phil doesn't like the messenger. That's just the
if
bottom
you're
line.
Going to do that,
he doesn't like, or that's basically what it is. He doesn't like or trust the messenger. He's admitted. I don't have any basis upon which to doubt this, other than the fact I don't like Campaign Zero and what they represent. And this is the pickle, and this is the pickle that we're in. And this is always the pickle that you find yourself in when you do stuff like this, and it produces results that people don't like. they find a reason to go after it's a typical shoot the messenger type scenario, right?
It's a choice of messenger.
I don't like the results that came out. And this is what I said. This is what I honestly believe about Phil and a lot of other people. If whoever this firm that the city hired comes back with the exact same thing, there'll be a problem with that group and what they did. And it's because there are some people who don't want to accept the reality and the facts of the situation. They reject the truth. It doesn't matter who delivers it. I always say, I had a friend who used to say the truth don't care who tells it. But it matters to people. If you don't like that truth, then you'll look for every reason to
or whether it's
it
true, whether or not it's true does depend on who delivers it.
Yeah,
that makes no sense whatsoever.
But look, the city's records are what they are.
No,
D-Ray McKisson was on here. Yeah. He said, "Look, these are the city's public records."
Said,
I showed you. Wait a minute, Phil. Let me finish. Let me finish, Phil.
Say anything you want,
Phil. Let me finish. He explained what his methodology was.
Yeah, I understand.
He said the methodology was there. He even went so far as to say, "Hey, the city told us we didn't factor in all of these different things. We went back and we put in what the city said. We added that to the methodology, and it still came out the same." So that's not good enough for you.
No.
So when the city goes out and they get what
and if the FOP did it wouldn't be good enough for any of us either.
I would look at this. It would depend on the numbers.
With those conclusions, you'd say, I don't want the FOP. I want an objective statistician.
No, that's what you would say. No, that's what you would say. What I would say is, let me look at the numbers. Let me look at the methodology. And if the methodology is sound, I don't care who did it. The facts are the facts. I don't care if it was the FOP or whatever it was.
I had Mike.
Look at the numbers, and the numbers and the methodology is sound, and they use the scientific method. I had Mike Allen
on my podcast a couple of.
Then I'm going to accept it.
Okay, I had Mike Allen on my podcast last week, and he was doing what you're saying. He was getting into their stuff and saying they didn't count people that were stopped on the freeway. Okay, now that's his point. That was his point of view to discredit it. That isn't my point of view. Okay, because I really don't know how significant it is if they didn't treat highway stops, if they didn't look at highway stops, they only looked at stops on streets. I don't know.
Did they fill out contact cards?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. A company that did not have an agenda, doesn't have a clear agenda, I would trust their conclusions. Okay, this, as I said, I'll say it one more time. I got to jump off. These conclusions and so forth they made could be 100% correct, but I am not going to believe it until some entity, and believe it or not, there are companies that you hire to look at these statistics that don't have an agenda.
Yeah,
I gotta go.
Even they can get it wrong.
White. They're white, Nathan. And this is what Phil, you won't acknowledge this, because I guarantee I guarantee you, Phil, you and Mike Allen and the rest of the crew out there, that if there was a black,
I disagree with him on everything else.
Wait a minute, Phil, because I'm going to tell you, this is a mentality that's prevalent. If there was a black firm that had a reputation out there of being exactly like what you said, but they looked at it because it was a black face, you would still not accept it. You know why? Because black people can't possibly be unbiased.
No. And that's not fair.
Phil, you're not being honest, brother.
As far as you people,
this is where you're not being honest.
You people.
This is where you're not being honest.
As far as the Kevin Aldridge, you people comment.
I already know. You ain't got to say it, Phil.
Yeah,
but look, I've been around. I've been around, you know. I've been around, you know. And I know, and it's just like how the first black president can be divisive just sheerly from the fact that he's black. It's that same mentality. It's that same mentality that comes forward. White folks will not accept it if it's coming from black. You will only accept it. You will only accept it if it comes from a firm that is white, and then they have to look you in the eye and tell you that there's bias going on. You will not accept it.
And by the way, just before I jump off, gentlemen,
some of your best friends are black.
I happen to think, since you're lumping me in with some people, I happen to think probably Obama was maybe the best president of the last 20 years. Okay. So, and let me also say that when I did this thing with Mike Allen, I pushed him hard and disagreed on just about every point except this one. So please don't lump me in with the you people. I got to go, gentlemen. Good to meet
All right,
with
Phil.
you.
Hey,
See ya,
easy,
buddy.
Phil.
See ya, Phil.
Appreciate you.
Good times,
We'll live
man.
to fight another day.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Phil's a good guy. Appreciate him.
But
Drop
Nathan,
writes, federal prosecutors in Washington, D.C. say they will begin charging parents whose children are involved in so-called teen takeovers, a move that has drawn mixed reactions from neighborhood leaders. So how do you guys feel about that? Criminal charges if your child is involved in a teen takeover. What is that? Why we keep allowing these people to criminalize our children for their own political good? That's all this is. We do it in Cincinnati. Teenagers downtown, there was a fight. Yeah, there's going to be some fights. So what? I don't care if there's a couple fights downtown. Big deal. I ain't worried about it. If no gunplay gets involved, I ain't worried about it. So what? But the media throws this out here, and then the politicians pick up on it. And it's like, oh, what are we going to do? We got lawlessness. Oh, lawlessness. I mean, it's really sad.
And again, I just go back to this in terms of, and I know people hate when I say this, and it might sound like it's a broken record, but race matters in these situations. You know, when you get a bunch of black kids together, they're roving mobs, they're gangs. You get a bunch of white kids together, they're just kids, right? Bunch of black kids, it's kind of teen takeovers. Bunch of white kids get over and do the same thing. It's something else. And so whenever I see these policymakers come forth with these types of policies and trying to punish parents for certain types of things, that's always code for black. They're not talking about white kids or white parents. They'll say that it applies to everybody, but that's not what these things are intended for. And just look at how they talk about it. Like I said, and the media picks up on this too. So we're guilty to some degree too, because we take on these labels. Like when I saw the thing that they were reporting a couple of weeks ago about the kids, these roving gangs of juveniles and all of that, you know who they're talking about. They're not talking about white kids. They're talking about black kids. And so,
the shameful thing is that black people it's some black people that play into it. Oh, every time there's a fight, every time there's a shooting, we got to talk about it. We got to internalize it. Oh, well, where are your children? I'm like, man, if y'all don't stop playing y'all just playing right into their hands. You playing right into their hands.
Well, so yes, I'm kind of two minds about this, because I always think that the unfortunate thing for us is we don't get the same, and when I say us, I mean black people, is we don't get the same grace that other groups get. It's not that we're any more criminal or that our kids are any more inclined to fight necessarily per se, but our stuff gets the most attention. And while I do think you cannot underplay some of the challenges that obviously exist. I mean, there's, you don't want to overblow it, but you don't want to downplay it. You don't want to internalize it, because the negatives that come along with that is painting this picture of just black people as criminals. But I say, as someone who's concerned about, our people and our culture, there definitely some things that we got to talk about, that we got to try to get a handle on as it pertains to some of the things that are going on. Now, that doesn't mean that you got to overblow it. That don't mean you got to paint all of our kids in certain ways. That don't mean that you got to try to jail parents. But it does mean that there are some conversations to be had.
The city of Cincinnati spent about $300,000, I think, to pay for these teen centers, right? So this happened right after there was a shooting, which I told people from the beginning may have been justified Everybody lost their mind. The city manager had to talk about it. The police chief had to talk about it. Former police chief, the mayor. This is we can't have this on the square, right? Turns out it was self-defense. And they decided it was going to spend $300,000 so that if you're a teenager and they ask you to go home and you don't go home, they was going to take you to the teen center and then your kids can pick you up. So far, they only had, 2 or 3 people? They could have took that $300,000 and put it in before and after school programs. That's what they could have did.
I agree.
If we really care about these teenagers, we need to do something about it. We all pay we pay taxes to this state. Are we getting the return on our tax dollars from the state of Ohio? Are we getting the programs and the help that we feel like we need?
Yeah, that's why.
Taxes?
Yeah, that's why. It takes work to make sure that your elected officials are doing the things that need to be done for the community, right? That means staying involved. That means staying down at city council. That means voting. That means staying in people's faces, because if you're not doing that kind of consistent work, you can't just expect, whether it's the school board, city council, whomever, to just do what you think are the right things to do. Pressure bust pipes, not just sitting back, complaining or saying things in chat. Like it's got to be active involvement to get the results that you want. And going to city council and saying that was some BS that y'all spent $300,000 on these. Somebody got rich off of that, but it wasn't the community or the kids. It was whoever collect that $300,000 check. And I ain't knocking nobody for getting a hustle and getting a bag, but the city got to be better about that.
Not just the city, the state. Michael writes taxes are stretched thin. They are. No, taxpayers are being stretched thin. They're collecting our tax dollars from the state of Ohio every paycheck. They're making decisions about that. I will say it again. Ohio should be known for world-class libraries, world-class universities, world-class before and after school programs. We should have a program where every single public school kid, if you want to do extracurriculars, is paid for. We give the money in taxes. The money is there, but they took $300 million and gave it to billionaires for a stadium in Cleveland.
Can I make a point about what you're talking about? The teen takeovers, when they're in the middle of the streets causing traffic hazards and delaying people from getting to where they need to get to, and inconveniencing people's lives and being safety hazards for our public safety vehicles to get to, there could be some ambulance that need to get through or something like that. That needs to be addressed. That does. When we were kids, we would go to a parking lot and we weren't burning out, but we would see who had the loudest boombox. You know what I'm saying? We'd have wars on the bass, drop that bass. But we would go to a park. We weren't in the middle of some intersection. So there's got to be some kind of like a happy medium to where the kids know that you're impeding traffic. You're messing with other people's livelihoods. They can be able to have fun and do stuff like that, but no consequences. I do not think the parents need to be held liable. I think at a certain age, 16, 17 years old, if you're old enough to drive and you're old enough to be out there like that, the kids need to be held liable for that. And the parents don't need to be involved, whatever kind of consequences comes after with that.
Or it's one of those things where is it really that anybody has to get in trouble? Can you corral kids? Can you get them out of the way? Can you move them to other areas? Because I get, look, some of this is a part of the social media environment and trends and things that kids tap onto and that they do. We did the same. It was just different. We kind of did that. We didn't have social media, but there were things that, kids started doing and our crew and their crew started doing it too. Like that sort of things happen where kids gather and get together to have fun or do whatever. Like, whether it's gathering in a McDonald's parking lot or doing something like that to like what you were saying. That's what kids do. But you can break that stuff up. You can move kids along. That everything doesn't necessarily need to involve somebody getting an arrest or having something added to a kid's record or doing something to the parents. I think it speaks more to what are we doing to create activities for young people, or gathering spaces that are specifically for our young people, where they can do these types of things, or where they can gather and have their own spaces to do their thing, and you could say, yeah, we got rec centers and all of that, and certainly that's one thing, but I think you got to have a variety of different avenues and outlets for kids to be able to find constructive things to do. Because if you don't have those kind of things, then kids make up their own stuff, and then you kind of get some of this stuff. So there has to be, some type of investment,
Yes,
in our young people, and for things for them to do, not just educationally, as Nathan said. Yes, absolutely, but you also got to have things socially, that are appealing and that are attractive to young kids, and that you can kind of have a more controlled environment and space for them there. And I don't know that Cincinnati has a ton of that.
Our kids in our public schools should have world-class meal prep. World-class. We should be feeding our kids at lunch. They should be getting fresh foods, the best foods that we can find. We should be giving to our children, because that's our future, and their bodies are developing. I mean, so that just tells me that there's a lot of room for growth for the city of Cincinnati and the state of Ohio. And we just got to have a will to invest. It just seems like too many people would rather invest in prisons and incarceration rather than liberation, as I've said many times before, rather than, the human potential. We'd rather put our money into police officers and canine units and all of the gadgets of law enforcement in prisons. I mean, it's really, really sad. We got the money. We just don't have the political will to transform this state into what it needs to be. And everybody's eating off crime. The media eats off crime with clicks. Law enforcement eats off of crime. Social media guys, influencers, they eat off of crime. It gives you something to talk about. It's like there's not enough will to really invest in the solutions, which we already know what they are. We know what we need to do. We just don't have a will to do it. Sierra writes, am I remembering incorrectly? I thought Kevin was in support of the kids being charged for running through Kroger.
So let me answer that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yeah,
so if you recall, because I like to go back. I remember everything I say, so I like to talk about what I said versus what people think I said.
What you say, Kevin?
So it wasn't necessarily about kids running through Kroger. So the protest was not what I was saying they should be charged with. I said there were kids who were charged or who were thought to be doing property damage and doing damage to the store. I said, if you did that, if you damaged the store, or you did some property damage, or you took items, stole stuff, that's what you should be charged for. I did not say that the kids should be charged for protesting or doing whatever they were doing at the store. But when you go through and you do property, when you commit actual crimes, protesting is not a crime. Property damage and theft are crimes. So if you're guilty of those things, then that's what you need to be charged with. So that was my comment at that time.
Sounds like she caught you in a contradiction. That's what it sounds
Not
like.
a contradiction. How's that a contradiction?
It sounds like Sierra remembered accurately.
I stand by that. The kids who did property damage and whatnot, yes, they should have been charged. You commit a crime, you should be charged.
You commit a crime, right? Yeah. You commit a crime. You jaywalked. Yep, I broke your arm and put you in a coma, but you jaywalked. So, hey, don't commit a crime. You know what I'm saying? TPS Asians, hey, listen, yesterday you were legal, today you're not. So if we put you in an internment camp, hey, you're not here legally, right? We need to stop. We got to stop with all of this. We got to stop.
Jaywalking is technically not a crime. What do they call that?
Neither is being here illegally. Neither is being here in the country.
You basically get a ticket.
Yeah,
you basically get a ticket.
So is being undocumented in the United States. That's a civil offense, not a criminal.
What would happen if you go to another country and try to do that same thing? They're not going. What do they think they're going to be like? Oh, you're an American. We're gonna have grace on you because that's what they should do when you're in America. No, they're going to treat you like Brittany Griner. They're going to Brittany Griner you.
Hey,
You're
you
talking
remember
about
them? What was
Russia.
it? Them white kids they caught in what country that was, and they beat them with some bamboo sticks in the middle of the square because they stole something, or what was that? Where was that at? They were in some foreign country. This was a few years ago, and they stole something or did some property damage somewhere in another country, and they got arrested, and they took them and beat them in the public square with like bamboo canes or something like that. And it was a big like that was their form of punishment over there. And people were all up in arms in the United States, like, oh, they shouldn't have did that to, to those kids over there. But I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna have that. And if anybody remembers that in the chat, chime in. It's been a few years ago. Singapore. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Teacher not teaching anymore, just like the preacher there teaching how groom kids sexually. Okay, I'm not sure.
Twin.
Not sure what you're talking about there, twin. I'm sure you got a point though. Sure. Somebody's saying LeBron James is now a free agent since we just vibing at this point.
Yeah.
About to get off. He's leaving the Lakers. Will LeBron James get another ring before he retires? What do you think?
He needs to go. He needs to. Well, I mean, I'm not saying what he needs to do. LeBron James, he's had a very good career. Make room for the next generation. What could he bring to a team except a hefty cut in their salary cap? In their budget. I mean, he's done it all. I mean, unless he's going to take a huge rate cut.
Even at his age, LeBron James is still one of the 10 best players. Even at his age, he's one of the 10 best players, maybe higher than that in the NBA. So it's like it's kind of like when Michael Jordan was kind of at the end of his career. It's like sometimes people just want you to retire when they want you to retire for whatever reasons they want to maintain their memory of you and your legacy. But it's like at the end of the day, nobody is talking about Michael Jordan's last couple of years with the Wizards. Like everything that you remember about Michael Jordan was his greatness and when he was on top and winning. And the same will be true of LeBron James, regardless of whether he plays one more season or not. I say let that brother keep playing for as long as he wants to do it, because he's still one of the best in the league. And can he win another championship? Absolutely. It just depends on where he goes. Now, the LeBron James who could carry a team by himself on his back may be gone. But certainly if you put him on a team with one or two other, great players. I mean, look, you put LeBron on the Knicks.
That's what I was just thinking. I swear, Kevin, I was like, if he goes to the Knicks, you're going to have a problem. If he goes to the Knicks, it's going to be a problem, man. Whoa,
now, if he go back to Cleveland, I don't even know with the pieces that Cleveland currently had. Like, I don't know LeBron, James Harden,
Donovan Mitchell,
guy's name.
Donovan Mitchell.
Like, I don't know what kind of combination that is. I don't know if that would work.
But if he went to the Knicks, man, you'd have to him and Brunson and getting rid of. Man, I think the Knicks, that would be a good thing. And they got the money. The Knicks got them. If any other organization's got the money to get them, the Knicks do. And that would make them a viable contender to repeat. Because, like, right now, I mean, honestly, the Knicks got theirs, and kind of glad they got it. Now that these New Yorkers have something to talk about for a long time. Jalen Brunson, when they came back from 27, man, that's what we hear about of these Knicks fans in the barbershop. They would talk about how Jalen Brunson brought him back from 27, and they all, but they enjoyed that win. If they got LeBron James with Karl Anthony Towns and I don't know, man, that could be a pretty good combination.
LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of the NBA, period. And I hear everything you say. I agree with everything you both said, Kevin and Terrace. But comparing the later years of Jordan to LeBron is no comparison. LeBron is way better at this stage of his career than Jordan ever was. Jordan was washed up, has been. All he had was a turnaround fadeaway. He could not do what LeBron has been doing late into his 30s, early into his 40s. It ain't no comparison whatsoever. LeBron is just something different.
For LeBron,
so here's what I would say.
LeBron takes care of his body better than Jordan did. They didn't know, they did not have these enhancement supplements.
Science is better.
Science is better. LeBron James spends millions of dollars on his body. Michael Jordan would spend millions of dollars at the gambling hall. They're completely different.
And I will also say this: there was no such thing as load management back when Michael Jordan played. They played every game. They didn't take nights off. You know, and that's one thing. And I hate to get into these comparisons between like players from different eras and stuff, because for all of the reasons that Terrace just said, you know, players are eating so much better now. They know more about how to take care of their bodies. There's so much more that players are investing in the longevity of their careers. And that's not to take anything away from how LeBron James has played, for how long he's played, and how at a high level he's played. Nobody will ever do it, probably ever again, to the level that he's been able to do it for as long as he has. But you got to take into account that the league rules are different. The environment is different. You know, players ain't playing 82 games and they're taking nights off. They're not playing some games when it's out of hand. They may not play the full frontal load. That's a different NBA culture and environment than when Jordan played there. So I hate getting in these discussions between who's greater, because what you wind up doing is you wind up picking to death greatness, trying to make a case for one or the other. And to me, it's just simple as this. Michael Jordan was the greatest player of his era. LeBron James is the greatest player of his era. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the greatest player of his era.
Yeah,
you know, Bird and Magic, probably if you from that era, they were
Kareem.
You know, they were probably on top of the game. So it's like, we'll never be able to end this conversation because these guys will never be able to match up against each other in their prime under the same set of circumstances and rules and see who the best was.
I'm just saying later in life.
You see that comment by Christian about once he's done with the game, do you think they'll badge him and expose him as a roid user? I mean, that's what they did to Roger Clemens and
they'll try.
And Mark McGuire and all those guys. I mean, that's
what they said. They're gonna go back and try to say LeBron was on roids.
Yeah, yes, that's a. You know,
I mean, yeah, they'll try. There'll be an effort to discredit him just because you know, his politics and you know how he stood,
his
the kind of man he's been.
Oh my God, how they made him play, and wear all the Black Lives Matter stuff during the pandemic and when they were in the bubble, and because they were going to sit out. But Barack came in, Barry came in with the phone call. LeBron, I need you and your boys to play this basketball, man. And your team can win too, man. Go ahead. And Rondo, bring your brother in there. We get some hookers in there for y'all too. Y'all just play some ball. Okay.
Whoa.
They got the hookers in the bubble. Is that what I heard him say?
We have so many issues. Deal with black people in the black diaspora. To think honky ball should be a topic of discussion.
Only Black Lion can come up with that.
Honky ball. You see, you're so disrespectful, man.
Oh my
God. Disrespectful, man. I've told you that before. That's why you be getting banned. Disrespectful, man. Oh my God. My apologies for even reading that nonsense, but
yeah, well,
you get the point. You said all black people got all these problems. Okay, well, all right. See, will LeBron make his new team sign his son Bronny? Oh boy, that means Bronny, who should never be in the NBA anyway. He's only there because of nepotism. Now you just left your son. He about to get kicked off the team.
He gonna be in the G League.
Hey man, look, Bronny has gotten more than most. So if he don't make the league or he get out, hey, he had more than a lot of guys who would love to be in that position ever got.
He made it further than Michael Jordan's sons.
Hey man, LeBron did what a dad is supposed to do, right? Like I have no hate on LeBron for that. Right. I think every father who has the ability to do something for their son and give them an opportunity is gonna do that. So like people who are hating on that, okay, you cannot like it, but you ain't a dad if you ain't trying to position your son to win, you know. And if you've had any kind of clout or influence, I agree with one thing that Stephen A. Smith said. He's, you know, LeBron, because of who he is and what he had done, had earned the right to try to create an opportunity for his son. And then it's up to his son to make the best of it. I mean,
how do you earn a right? He ain't earn no right. Nah, sure you're taking away a spot from somebody else. Nah, that has nothing to do with those
everything that LeBron James has done for the NBA and the game of basketball. Hey man, least you could do. They won the
he got
Lakers.
paid.
Won the Lakers a championship.
And he made $50 million a year. He got signature shoes. He's a billionaire. He got paid. He don't deserve the right to take a spot from somebody else because your son, you want to put your
But the
son.
transgender girls do.
Oh.
Slam dunk.
Okay, so now you did all of that. Explain how that makes sense, Kevin.
I don't know. I just liked it. I mean, I don't know whether it makes sense or not. I just like the fact that it sounded like a dunk.
It sounded good. Okay.
No, I could say it. Go ahead.
How does that make sense? There might be a way to do it, but I'd love to hear it. I don't see it. But how do these two compare?
LeBron James, through nepotism, provided his son a position to take away from someone who probably would have earned it if they had not have been LeBron James's son. He probably everything.
Got that part.
The females, the transgender females who are taking spots of other females who might work hard, who might be physically, they're taking the spot of someone who deserves it, from working hard to get it. It ain't no different. It's nepotism, and then transgender. It's the same. That's where I'm saying there ain't no difference. Taking someone else's spot, Nathan. That's what you say.
Okay.
He's taking someone else's spot.
Right.
The transgender person takes someone's spot undeservingly.
I remain unconvinced, but okay, we can agree to disagree.
Hey, man,
I don't have no problem with
Sierra
that.
was making the same point in the comments. She called me out. She said Kevin is supporting nepotism, but not trans athletes taking the place of cisgender.
Sierra's right. Boo!
You gotta put a little more funk in your dunk, Nathan. That's what
I'm imitating you. I'm imitating you, Kevin. This is what I saw. You was doing that Phil Heimlich.
That's what I was gonna say you was doing, man. That's what I was...
Hey, we was both doing it.
hey, man, I like Darren's comment. He said Bronny got birthright citizenship into the NBA. I thought that was dope. That was a good comment.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Birthright
citizenship to the NBA. Yeah, now that is funny. I can see that.
Yeah, that was dope.
Now that makes sense. That goes back to the point Kevin and Terrence was making, that LeBron did so much for the game. I don't know. I can see that argument, but nah. I hope that Bronny stays. Actually, I want to see all. I want to see anybody that's trying to do something be successful in it. I don't care who it is across the board, especially when you see somebody put a lot of time and energy into it. I love to see Bronny stick. If he was just 3 inches taller, he'd definitely have a spot.
Maybe Bronny should go transgender and go play in the WNBA, and then he could go ball out.
Joanna man, huh?
He could. Hey, according to your logic, maybe he should transition and say, "Hey, I identify as a female. Go to the WNBA and just dunk on them." You said you think that transgender should be able to play sports with it should be like, men should be able to play sports with women. Women should be able to play sports with men. That's what you would say that.
Yeah.
LeBron James,
I think I'm leaning that way.
Consider that. He should consider identifying as a trans and then going over and playing basketball in the WNBA and giving them ladies the business. Yeah. He could take over.
Like, listen,
he could try to outdo his daddy. I'm going to get more championships than my daddy.
The WNBA. Hey, don't get me wrong. I heard y'all arguments and they're compelling. I get it, but I just see it slightly differently. I just think this whole thing is overblown, and you can't solve every little discomfort, because that's all this is, a little bit of discomfort. Now, there are more transgender athletes. Let's say there were thousands. Okay. I'm into it.
I mean, man. Look, I think the way that
my disappointment.
I think Nathan, I don't disagree with you, and I think I even started out my comments that I don't think it's a huge, like, pervasive issue. I think we can all agree with that. And whether or not this is something that government needs to be involved in, I could agree with you on that. Like, I think these are things that, local communities or organizations, sports leagues or whatever, let them decide those things on their own. State athletic associations, let them decide and make their own rules. Like, I think coming up with laws and things of that nature, like, I think there's bigger fish for government to fry. So I think we can be in agreement on that. But just purely talking as a sports fan and talking about competitive fairness and balance, I think we have men and women separated into different leagues and divisions, particularly in the major sports, for a reason. And I think we know what that reason is that we know there are competitive disadvantages by and large. We're not talking about exceptional cases, but by and large between men and women. That's why we divide them up. If that weren't the case, everything would be co-ed. It going along your lines of reasoning, why wouldn't just everything just, if men and women can compete together and there's no difference, why wouldn't we just have everything co-ed? Why have two different leagues? Because I think there's an understanding that there's a separation competitively and physically between men and women, and you want to give each the opportunity to compete at the highest level with people who are alike. And there are some sports, again, I think, where gender is neutral, where the physical aspects of the sport, where it becomes more about skill than necessarily power and strength, that allows men and women to compete more on equal footing. And that's all.
Women can't think like men. That's what's going to happen. Next, we'll be saying women can't think like men. Women shouldn't be able to hold certain jobs like men because they don't have, the intelligence or the brain function to do the job. That's the slippery slope with this, in my opinion. But
I don't see it that way, because here you're talking about pure physicality, right? So look, you can say this in what is it? I think in firefighting or even in military, things of that nature. Like, there are certain standards and requirements, right? Like, this is the argument that if you want to be a firefighter, you got to be able to deadlift a certain amount of weight and a certain amount of pounds. And you get into this debate about, okay, well, can women who can't meet those standards, should they still be allowed to be firefighters, or should they be allowed to be in military? But if there's certain standards that you have to meet to be able to do certain jobs based on physicality and strength, regardless, you got to meet those demands. So it has nothing about intelligence or an ability to pass a test. These are physical requirements. Can you physically lift this much weight?
We have women firefighters.
And if the answer is no, which a lot of times,
we have female firefighters.
When it comes to women,
we have female firefighters.
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
So
we do.
What's your point?
But what's the number of female firefighters compared to male firefighters?
Does it really matter?
It does.
How?
Because
if your point is, what is your point?
I don't know how many women would want to be firefighters but can't be because they can't meet the physical limits.
I'm not even sure.
I don't know what the answer to that is.
Firefighters.
Say that again.
I don't know what the point is, and we both know that there's female firefighters. So clearly, women.
No, I'm saying because of the physical requirement, and this is the point that I'm getting to, Nathan. Here, listen to me.
Okay, I'm listening.
So there could be many more women who want to be firefighters than are actually women who are firefighters.
You're assuming, though.
I'm acknowledging I don't know that. I'm saying there could possibly be, but they're not because they can't meet the physical requirements.
Same thing with men. There's some men who can't meet the physical requirements.
Absolutely.
So what difference does it make?
Absolutely. I guess my point is you have significantly more men who are firefighters than women. Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think that's the case? Is it because just only a certain small amount of women want to be firefighters, or perhaps that there are more women who want to be firefighters but can't meet the physical requirements?
I think it's because there's a lot of women that don't want to be firefighters.
Okay, maybe that's the case.
That's it.
That's the case.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we got to stop discounting women. Why do we discount women? These women, bro, we were the vessel to this world through their bodies.
That has nothing to do with physical strength.
It has everything to do with it, because women, because of the way their bodies are set up, are uniquely set up to deal with stress, physical pain, physical exertion. We keep acting like women can't do these things. They can.
Some can.
Most can if they decide to. There's a lot of weak men out here. You got some men out here that can't do one push-up, one pull-up. There's some women that can do multiple. It just depends on the individual. So here's how I look at it. You can go away. I believe in co-ed combat. If women want to join the service and fight in combat, I would have no problem with it. If they've passed the training and meet all the requirements and I'm in a foxhole with them, cool. Got no problem with it. So if we can do that, I ain't got no problem with competing with you or against you in no kind of sport. Big deal.
Yeah, most men don't have a problem competing with women. That's not the argument that we're having here. We're not having an argument about women competing with men. We're having an argument about men competing with women. You're looking at it from a purely male perspective.
I'm looking at it from all the perspectives.
You know why, Nathan? Most men don't have a problem competing with women, particularly in sports that are particularly physical, because most men don't see that as a threat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when it comes down to physically and strength,
until they lose,
but again,
all of a sudden they got a problem with the woman.
But again, Nathan, I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about what happens most of the time.
Yeah, and most of the time,
men win.
When women are competing,
most of the time, men win.
Most of the time,
men win.
Let's bring it back to relevancy. Most of the time, women are competing against women. There's only 9 or 10. I got a video where the director of the NCAA was on a podcast, the collegiate sports side, and they asked him, so what are we dealing with here? He said there's like 511,000 collegiate athletes. And this video, I think I got this video 2 years ago. He said at that point, there were like 8 to 10 trans athletes. Where's the issue? There really is no issue. That's what I'm saying. This is all just made up for politics. And now people are acting like there's some virtue to it. Men shouldn't play in women's sports. Men aren't playing in women's sports. Statistically, it's extremely rare. You're talking about 8 to 10 out of 511,000? What's the point? There's no issue here. There's no issue here.
There's no issue that the federal government should be involved in. I would agree with that. There's no issue that the Supreme Court should be involved in. I think it's very different. And this is why I hate the argument of, well, it's only so many doing that, as if that's a reason to say that it's okay, even in a small number of cases.
Yes, it is okay.
I'm generally somebody who says, hey, look, whether you're talking about 10 or 10,000, right? If it's wrong for one, if it's not right for one, it shouldn't be right for any, right? And so it's like, I just don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. And I think we have divisions in sports for a reason.
I know
it was set up that way. And it's not trying to diminish women in any way. It's just simply saying that if you put a man and a woman in a competition 10 times, a man is going to win that competition 9.
It depends on the competition.
At a minimum 8.
It depends on the competition. I cannot say that. We cannot blanketly say that.
Put a woman in a competitive position. And this is the other thing where I think the other problem that I have with this, again, is this whole notion. I think somebody said it in the column. Let women be women and let men be men.
What does that mean?
Well, it means this.
What does that mean?
Why are we perpetually in this situation where we're always trying to compare men to women? Like, I don't want my woman to try to be like a man or to be trying to compete with men and outman me. Women,
but you're not with a transgender woman.
What is the point?
Not with a transgender woman.
The point of you beat me in competition as a woman says what to you? Like, what? How does that make you feel better about being a woman by saying that you could beat a man in some competition or whatever? What, like? I don't get that. Like, I think it's part of this. I think it's a part of this insane thing that we have, where we got to try to make women, where somehow there's this effort to try to be equal to men by trying to be like men, and I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy.
I don't think that's what it is. I think you got some selfish people out there. You got some men that made the conversion to being a woman, and they selfishly want to be in a field of competition where they feel like they're superior because of their physical makeup. That's what I think it is.
So
Nobody's going to change a woman. Women are the real threat to women ain't from no transgender. There's a threat out there, and you can see what it is, but it ain't transgenders. And that's another thing. Oh, women are under attack. You are under attack, but it ain't from transgender people. That's for sure. So you're right. There is an attack on women's rights. It ain't coming from transgenders. It's coming from the people that's telling you that transgenders are the problem. And I just refuse to buy into it because I know what the plot is. I
think there, and that may be sort of an overarching plot, but I don't think the average person thinks about it that way. Again, I'm a person who I don't have a problem with if you're transgender. Be you, but along with that, I can't go along with stuff, again, that I feel like is a competitive disadvantage. If you were born a male and you have all of the strength and you still have all of the attributes and everything that makes you a man, people are cool with it now because most of these trans athletes who are transitioning and playing ain't very good. They probably wouldn't have made the men's team if they were playing in men's athletics, right? They probably ain't got that. But I guarantee you, like I use that example, like if you take a top level college athlete who was male, who transitioned and who came in and just dominated, won every single thing that they got into with women, there would be a different conversation. We cool with it right now because the trans athletes who are they're not very they're not very good. They probably wouldn't even be able to hold muster in men's division if they played. And so that's why people who are cool with it now and who are talking about it now are cool with it, because you don't have athletes who's transitioned, who's participating in female sports, who just come in and wreck shop and dominate it. I guarantee you, as soon as that happens, attitudes like yours and other people's will change. No, I guarantee you.
I'll tell you what,
or at least they should.
Women shouldn't hold certain jobs because they can't think like men. They don't have the emotional ability and stability of men. It's all wrapped up in that stuff. It's very misogynistic, but that's just the way I look at it.
Why is it? I just don't understand. And this is part of the problem. Like sometimes I see why conservatives look at liberals sometimes and be like, what planet are y'all living on? Because it's like saying that by and large, physically, men are stronger than women is not a chauvinistic statement. It's not. It's a biological statement. It's a reality that since the Garden of Eden has been an accepted truth. And it's not to say that you don't have some strong women and who are exceptions to the cases, but in general, there's a difference between the genders.
We know. We get it.
Okay. So, but why is that called chauvinistic? So it's chauvinistic to say that generally men are stronger than women. That is not a chauvinistic statement.
No, it's chauvinistic to say that women can't hold certain jobs and positions because they're women. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you agree that it's chauvinistic to say that women can't be leaders because they have menstrual cycles? Because they're emotional?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, okay. And that hasn't borne out to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you also agree that there are people out there that believe that women just don't have the intelligence to hold certain positions? Would you agree that those attitudes are out there?
People have said the same thing about black folks.
Yeah, but we're talking about women though. We're talking about women. Okay. And so I'm just putting it all together. To me, this is in that same family tree of thinking that women need to be protected from what exactly? From 8 athletes? Like women can't compete. And I gave you an example of Riley Gaines where
so Nathan, let me ask you this.
By 3 different women. And so did the Leah Thomas, I think it was, transgender swimmer. Leah got beat by 3 women in that heat. So I'm just saying, I just don't.
And so again, to my point about people, to my point about some people who are just not very good, like a average to below average male athlete against who again, wouldn't even be on the team, let alone place if he was competing against other men, might be able to get in against women and finish third or fourth just simply because of the physical attributes that give him an advantage, not because he's more skilled or even better. The better female athletes are able to overcome that, but others are not. And that is the argument that you got to make there. Nathan, why do they outlaw steroids in sports?
I think they thought it was unfair advantage.
Unfair advantage. Why?
I think they thought that steroids gave them a physical advantage that players that weren't using those kind of drugs. And in reality, what it really comes down to is recovery. We're not really talking about performance on the field. Really, what the steroids really did was it would increase muscle mass in some people, but would also allow the athletes to recover faster. And major league sports or organized sports, professional sports felt like that was unfair.
Okay, so there were physical advantages that created a competitive disadvantage from athletes who were on steroids. They had enhanced, and that's in males participating against males or females participating against females.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a natural biological advantage, which again that we say is not even up to dispute. It's a matter of science. It's a matter of biology.
But it's a non-issue, though. I hear what you're saying, but it's a non-issue. We're talking about 8 to 10 athletes out of 511,000.
Again,
it's a non-issue.
Again, Nathan, you're conflating the arguments. So there are two arguments: whether this is something that government should be involved in and regulating, or whether or not you should have trans athletes participating in female sports. Those are two different things. So you're disputing both of those things. On one of them, I'm agreeing with you. I don't know that this is something government should be involved in, but I don't agree with you that whether or not government is involved, that this is something that should be happening. I don't agree with that. And I think most people, there are fewer people that agree with you, I think, that agree with me.
Yeah.
On that issue, because they see exactly the issue. And it's not about being politically correct. It's not about trying to protect women or that, or the other. It's about sports are all about giving people an equal playing field and trying to be able to compete at the highest level. And allowing a man or an individual who is born a male who's transitioned and still has all of those same physical attributes, that creates a competitive disadvantage. So this ain't nothing about all of that social stuff. Throw that out of the window. This is sports. So if we're not trying to allow people to have competitive, now it'd be different if you got a woman. Here's the difference. Okay. If I'm a male and I naturally have more muscle mass, more strength, maybe even a little bit more speed, and I just have that naturally, that's different from a woman who has worked out nonstop for her career to get to that physical peak of female athleticism. I ain't did nothing. I ain't lifted no weights. I ain't done nothing but other than take advantage of the natural ability that God has given me as a male, and I drop that over there. Let alone if I start bulking up and start doing some other things.
I'm not sure I like that comparison.
See how that's not the same.
Yeah, I don't think I like that comparison. You take some dude who's been on the couch, ain't been working out, and you put him out there with one of these college athletes who happens to be a female, he is not going to beat her. He is going to struggle. And
Why?
Because
why is he going to struggle?
Because
repeat what you just said.
Because he's dealing with an elite athlete, whether it's a male or a female.
Right. But
you ain't gonna just jump off the couch and beat a female athlete.
He may not
college basketball player.
Look,
you're not gonna do it.
Here's what I'm saying. If you take a male basketball player, okay, and you take him off the couch, but he knows a little. Let's just take any rec dude that's out here in the city playing, and you take a high level college female athlete. Let's just take the best player at UC. on the women's basketball team, and you put her with some of these dudes that ain't playing nowhere, maybe they play in the Smith League in the city. I guarantee you, if she don't lose, he's going to hold his own. And this is a female athlete in the peak of her condition, giving it all she got just to get that win.
It depends on the
That's
rules.
what I'm saying.
It depends on the rules. It depends on how they play.
What are you talking about? We playing by basketball rules.
Yeah,
so
but
now
you
what
and I
you're saying is, so what are you saying now? That we got to have special rules for women to compete against men?
I'm saying what I've always said is it depends on the sport. And when you're talking about the game of basketball, you and I both know that there's ways of reffing it. So you can ref it in a way. Am I wrong? Did I say something that was wrong?
No. What I'm saying is, if men and
Kevin,
women
you should know this. You own a basketball team.
No, I get that. I get what you're saying.
Let me finish it though, so the audience understands. So to answer your question, it depends on how they ref it. So if the ref allows them to get super physical, that's going to give the male more of an advantage because they have more muscle mass. If they ref it like they're kind of doing in the NBA this way, where it favors the offensive player, then that female is going to destroy them.
No, so if I have to modify the rules, so if basketball is a physical sport, I said the same thing about football. So if I have to modify the rules and how the game is reffed so that a woman has the ability to get off her shot, like if I'm just backing her down and laying it up every time because she can't deal with my physicality, then she can't compete with me.
But we're not talking about women.
She can't compete with me any more than if I got on the court with Kevin Durant and he backed me down or Shaq backed me down physically.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said from the beginning, it depends on the sport. I've already said it. It depends on the sport. So and the example I gave you of Riley Gaines has made the most noise about this. She was a swimmer. She lost. She came in 5th place, lost to a transgender athlete that came in 4th. 1, 2, and 3 were all the places, 1st, 2nd, 3rd place. They were all female athletes. Riley Gaines just wasn't good enough. That's it. In that particular instance.
And apparently
there are some sports in which it doesn't matter as much and some sports in which it does matter more because it's more physical. But we already know that. But across the board, I stand by what I said. Sierra, I'm taking the New York Liberty. Let me think about that. Yeah, I think I'm taking the Liberty against the Kings. Nah, I don't know. That's a tough one. It really depends on the refs. It really depends on the refs. If the refs allow them to be physical, you're not going to have a lot of chance. If they got a tight whistle, it makes the game a little bit more technical. It makes it more about cutting, X's and O's, strategy, not just pure physicality. The Liberty got a real good shot. And that's just a game of basketball. Twin is messing with you. Said you can't play water boy. What?
Yeah, what Twin. You know what? I'd love to get Twin out there in any sport that, and Twin. I guarantee I would dust him. It wouldn't even be funny, let alone talk about playing basketball. See, Twin talk because he don't know, but people who know the story.
Kevin played ball, y'all.
Hey,
Kevin played ball.
I'm just telling you. Come on out, Twin. I'll be glad to school you anytime. And you pick the sport, you pick the competition. We can play whatever you want to play. And I guarantee you it get ugly pretty quick, brother.
Janice writes, I truly believe men psychologically restrain themselves when playing with women. You're probably right. I played with some women and I did restrain myself. I didn't throw as many bows and stuff like that because I ain't trying to catch a woman on the cheek or something like that. So, yeah, but I was just playing in a rec league or something like that. If I was like in organized sports, if you get out there, you out there. It ain't you getting all of it. All of it. And I think most athletes probably think like that. Like we just messing around. That's one thing. When the lights is on, it's a trophy or some money on the line or some status or a playoff berth, you're going to get destroyed. Simple as that. Like Kevin said, if I can back you down every time, I back you down every time, Shaq style. And I've seen dudes play like that though. I used to play, at the Friars Club over in on Ohio Avenue in Clifton, man. Great ballers, great street ballers. I had no idea you could be that good in basketball. I'm like, damn, they is good. And there was some girls, some women that would play, and there was some dudes that didn't care. They did not care. That wasn't me. I had a little bit more chivalry in me. But if some dudes didn't care and caught an attitude about it, like, well, if you came out here, you're gonna get what you get. So it depends on the man, Janice. But for me, yeah, that's how I would be.
And look, and I feel like this about the same thing that I was saying about the Jordan LeBron debate. It's like when you get into this, these kinds of discussions, like this my argument is not to minimize women in any way, because you got some exceptional women athletes.
You've been minimizing women all afternoon, Kevin. You have.
I have not been.
I hate to say it, bro. You've been minimizing women this whole conversation.
There's some great women athletes that are at the top of their sport in their thing, and you would have the occasional female athlete who, when put together against somebody, again, at the same level in equal competition. I'm not talking about somebody who ain't never hooped going up against a Kelsey Mitchell or a Caitlin Clark because they're men. Yes, there are sports where you got to have skill, but all things being equal, you put an equally skilled man against those women, and it'll be a rare occasion where the man is not going to come out on top, and it has mostly to do with the physicality. Now, you take somebody like Cheryl Miller. Reggie Miller has said this many times that she used to kick his butt all the time when they were coming up, that Cheryl Miller did. And by the time, I guess, Reggie was in his prime, Cheryl wasn't playing no more. She was doing analyst, but it would be interesting to hear him say and not be, deferential to his sister, who he has higher amount of respect from, but to say, hey, you in your prime when you was balling with the Indiana Pacers and your sister, y'all going at it, who would have won? Like, to me, that would be interesting to see, because Cheryl Miller was, in my mind, greatest female basketball player of all time. She just, unfortunately, there was no WNBA around, unfortunately, when she played, but which is a shame, because she would have certainly have been the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. But you got some incredibly great female athletes out there. I just think nobody's take whoever you want to. Who's the sister that's balling for Las Vegas in WNBA right now? I can't think of her name, but you put her up against
A'ja Wilson.
A'ja Wilson.
Yeah.
A'ja Wilson versus LeBron James. A'ja Wilson versus LeBron James in a game to 10.
It depends on the game. So if you was playing a game of, let's say, horse, where it's just about shooting skill, if it's just about shooting skill, she might get them. But when you add the physicality, as I've said, it depends on the sport. The physicality changes things. We already know that.
Right. And so I guess that's my whole point about,
I get it,
trans athletes, and because the sports we're talking about, by and large, are physical sports. Even swimming. I mean, when you get into swimming, you talk about height, length, power, all of that kind of stuff. That make. I mean, I'm not a swimmer, but
3 women beat Leah Thomas, who was born a man, living as a woman. 3 women beat her. So in that race.
So did Leah Thompson, when Leah Thompson identified as male, did he compete in male swimming sports?
Yeah.
And how good was he?
I don't know. But how is that relevant?
You never heard of him.
But how is that relevant? He's a man. Born a man. I'm just saying,
but I guess what I'm saying is that men who aren't very good may not be able to beat a woman who's at the top of the game and
that's my point. That's the point I've been making. Just because he's born a man does not mean that they are automatically going to beat these elite female athletes. It depends on the sport. That's the whole point I was making.
But my point is,
took you 3 hours.
They don't have to win for it to be wrong, because their sheer presence is automatically displacing somebody else.
Ain't displacing nobody.
Okay, Nathan. So I may not be good enough to beat the first person, but what if I finish second or third? So whoever finishes behind me is finishing one spot out of placing. That if I wasn't there, they would have had that place, or somebody else would have.
Not necessarily.
Well,
You
yeah,
can't-
absolutely.
you can't make
if
that argument.
if I'm not competing, somebody else is absolutely going to take that spot.
Yeah, and if for all we know, another female athlete could have just as easily, if they was in that race, taken that spot as well. I'm just gonna stay. I'm gonna die on this hill. Depending on the sport, just because you're born a man does not mean that you're gonna beat one of these elite athletes. All they do is work out. That's all they do. All they do is ball. You ain't gonna just walk in there and just beat them just because you were born a man, depending on the sport. It's not gonna happen. It's
So let
some
me
women.
ask
You play
so-
pickleball, don't you? It's some women. And do they ever play like one-on-one pickleball, or is it always teams?
I mean, I'm sure I've only seen like 2-on-2,
Right.
but I'm sure that there are people who get out there like with anything else who might play 1-on-1. But I've never seen when I've been
They
out,
play
I've never
one-on-one.
seen it. Yeah,
I think it's totally possible you can get 2 pickleball female athletes and they can beat 2 men. It just depends on who the women are, who the men are.
because
That's
I think
sport.
that's a game that's more reliant on skill than necessarily
That's what I'm saying.
physicality to compete.
That's what I've been saying.
I'll even
Yeah.
take you one like golf. Like if you go out to the golf course, if you've ever played, they have different levels of areas where you can tee off, and they have a spot with what they call the women's tees. So
Mhm.
most men play from the tips and farther back, but they have tees that are specifically for women. Now
Right.
you might get a woman every now and again who can play from the, I'm sure some of these PGA or LPGA golfers who at the top of their game can play from the tips and
High school. There's some high school girls out there that can
do well,
ball
right?
out in golf. High school, Kevin. There's some high school female golfers who can
Absolutely.
ball.
But I'm
Who can
talking about
ball?
I'm talking about they have the differences. They have the differences in the tees for difference, mainly because men are stronger and can probably hit the ball a little bit farther. Golf is a lot about technique
Generally
and
speaking,
a
yeah.
lot of that, but definitely strength plays an issue. Why you think Tiger
Sure.
worked out and why all of those other people work out. So
Sure.
if you got a dude that's at peak strength and got skill, he's more than likely probably going to outdrive a female golfer who might be equally skilled in terms of shot making, but just can't drive it as far because of the physicality. So I'm saying that yes, games of skill certainly allow women and men to compete at more equal levels. But the sports that primarily the sports that we're talking about, and there's some people who even get into the arguments about whether some of these sports that are skill games are actually sports. Like that's a whole other different argument that some people have. Like, should skill games even be considered a sport? Like if it ain't physicality or if you ain't doing a lot of running and jumping, is it even a sport? So
That's the whole point, Ross. You said how these two ninjas get a show together when they don't even agree on ish. That's the point. That's the point, man.
Yeah, that really is kind of the point.
That's the whole point. Agree to define the disagreement, had a conversation, order argument, agree, disagree, come back and do it again on Friday. Speaking of which, on Friday we got Rosemary scheduled to join us.
Okay.
And Lakita. So it'll be you, me, Phil, Rosemary, Lakita. I like Rosemary. She got she ain't taking no back seats. I love it. Twin Rights, Nathan Ivy, what do you think about ex-Titans running back Johnson diagnosed with ALS? I don't want to say how I feel about it because I've got some things I'm working on, but let me just say it's sad. I wonder if Chris Johnson would do it all over again. I mean, there's certainly a connection between multiple head trauma, hitting your head, knocking, head to helmet to helmet, and ALS. Most certainly there is. But I wonder if these brothers, of these warriors, these athletes would do it again, knowing what it could cause. And I think the answer is they know what it is from the very beginning, right? They know that there's an opportunity for them to get CTE. But just think about how crucial that is. Like, we live, like, is that crazy in America where you're gonna play a sport that you know could detrimentally impact you just so you can make a lot of money and live a certain lifestyle? It's like, is it really worth it? I don't know. I think I don't know what Chris Johnson would say. All I know, he was a hell of an athlete. He was a really good player. I hated seeing it, man. He's like 37 years old. He got children, got a wifey. It just broke my heart when I saw it. I was almost, I'm very emotional. I was almost in tears when I saw that, because I'm a family man, and I'm looking at a family man going through this, and I'm like, wow. Like, what if that was me? Like, what, the burden on his wife and his children, not burden, but the stress on his wife, having to take care of him. And he's basically like entombed in his own body until his lungs give out. I mean, just very, very sad. It's very, very sad. But, people take those kind of risks to live a certain lifestyle in this country. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. He's 39, David said. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad, and particularly how fast, how aggressive, the disease is advanced for him. He was like, I heard his interview, and he was like, just a year ago, he was able to pick up his daughter so she could blow out the birthday candle on her cake, and now he can't even pick up his daughter. It's like
he can't even talk.
Yeah. Whenever I hear stories like that, in addition to it just being incredibly sad and praying for him and his family, and not even being able to fathom what that is like, going through that, is like, it always gives me a greater appreciation just for life and wherever you are. It's like, no matter where you at, or no matter how bad you think you got it, or what issues or things that are challenging you in your life right now, it's like there's always somebody else who's struggling, or who has a tougher situation. It just allows me to just appreciate life and the people around me, because stuff changes on a dime. Like, for any of us, everything can be going well today, and tomorrow you can get a diagnosis for something that you didn't even know, that you had, and it can change that quickly. I mean, and that's, when I was listening to that story, that was the thing that just stuck with me, listening to his wife just sort of talk. It's like, man, you got your life in front of you. You planning the future for your family. He's not going to get a chance to see his daughter, unless there's like some kind of miracle cure or change or something that extends his life. You're not going to be able to see your daughter grow up and see what she becomes and all of that. And it's just, it's just very sad, and just makes you recognize that, even the topics and all of this stuff that we talk about on this show, and they're all important issues, but, sometimes we lose sight of the most important things, which is your life, which is your health, which are your family and the people around you that you love the most. And I think that's why we fight and argue about some of these issues so vigorously, because we have those things in mind. But I think even as you're fighting and doing for those things, you can't lose perspective about what the main things are. And man, and that's just your health and your life and the people around you. Because without any of that, the rest of it is sort of irrelevant. And on the football tip, Nathan, you're 100% right, because if you talk to a lot of these players about CTE and some of the, even that's not what he has, but players know, whether it's CTE, ALS, injuries, being debilitated, not be able to get around because of your joints and bones and all of that is messed up. These guys, pretty much all of them say they do it over again, right? Because I think what they get is, while their lives might not be as long as somebody else's, man, they jam a lot of life and whatever, and a
Mhm.
lot of opportunities and things that they're able to cram into that short of a time to where, maybe they're able to live life a little bit more fully. It's not as long, but they live it more fully than some guy who's, working at the Enquirer or wherever, um, trying to make ends meet or whatever. That maybe that trade off a shorter for a life where you're able to cram a lot into that short. Maybe that's the calculation that they make. I don't know.
Well, that's all I got, man. We'll be back on Friday, everybody, 1 p.m. for the pre-show.
Hey, one of the things that might be worth talking about, and I'm filling in for Lincoln this Thursday. He's taking a long vacation, actually Thursday and Monday. But one of the things that I was thinking about talking about with coming into this 4th of July weekend, and it's really supposed to be a celebratory time for this 250th anniversary. But it's like, my sense is that this is not, that people aren't really feeling it the way that you would think a country celebrating 250 years should be feeling it. And I think that's people on both sides. I think whether you're a MAGA or Trump person, or whether you are on the other side of that, like, I don't think anybody is happy about where the country is. And this could just be me projecting, but that was part of the conversation that I was wanting to have was, as we're celebrating this 250th birthday, like where are people at? Like, it just doesn't seem like this is a celebratory moment or what it should be for such a milestone. And that's for a variety of reasons. I mean, I think even for every Black person in this country, our relationship with America is just complicated on a normal 4th of July, given the history. But I just wonder, just kind of where people are at, and would it be different if we had a different guy in the White House? Would it be different? Is it as simple as that, or is it deeper than just?
It's not just simple. It's just the policies, the impact, the moves that are being made. Yeah, I mean, especially for people of color. I mean, you feel like on some levels, like the federal government is out to get you, and so yeah, I can see a lot of people feeling that way and then having an issue with it. Yeah. 250, huh? My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. So
It's just
I
real
wish us the
interesting.
best. I agree with you. It is interesting. I've been seeing. Have you been looking at the poll numbers online too around that
I
topic?
haven't seen that.
Yeah, Google that, man. You'll probably come up with some stuff that'll be good for the show and talking points. But that's fair. It's all about how you couch it, though, right? How you approach it. But yeah, you sitting on Thursday. You said when is the 4th?
The 4th is on Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
But the official, I guess, the day off holiday for everybody is actually.
It's like, how do you not love your country? Like, born and raised here, family from here. You've helped to build this country by, being a good citizen, right? That's what they tell you to do. Take care of your family. Now you're seeing what some people are calling a betrayal on a lot of levels. How do you process that? It's probably going to be mixed. I think most people will say mixed. And with that audience, I take it back. With that audience, most people are going to say, hell to the nah, I ain't feeling it. I think a lot of people have mixed feelings about it. I mean, even Republicans, I think they have mixed feelings about it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I just really kind of feel like, and everybody is probably an overly broad term, right? Because I'm sure there are going to be some people who are going to be all about it. But my general sense is, I just feel like even if you feel like you're on a winning side right now with Trump, whatever that means for you, I still feel like there's just like a lot of angst and disappointment and anger, even on that side, for whatever reason.
Here's a good question. Check that. DeAndre writes, do you feel like the country loves you? Now, I like that. I like flipping it. That might be something that might be useful. I like flipping that, because then that's different.
Yeah.
That's a different question.
It is.
You feel like the country loves you. And I think that's a fair way of putting it too. right? Because this can't be a one-way street. We just can't love America without feeling like America loves you. I think that's fair. Yeah.
And who is the country though? Like that's the deeper thing. Like
And
it's
who is
like
the country? Yeah.
it's like who are we looking? Because I think that's a relevant question that Black people have been asking for a lot of times, and it's like sometimes we get hit with the Black people don't love the country, and I would venture to disagree with that. Like
I would too.
I think Black people have for our time since we've been here have had unrequited love for this country. In other words, we've shown the country love, but the country hasn't shown us that same level of love and commitment that we've been trying to get back,
Right.
for 250 years. And so that's why I say, like, it's always a complicated discussion for us. And Black Lion, kind of illustrates that a lot in a lot of his comments and his thoughts about how he feels about,
Speaking of which, somebody wants to know, will you be taking Black Lion's phone call on Thursday?
Well, you know what? Here's what I told Lincoln. Lincoln's rule is I try to respect Lincoln's show. So like a lot of people is like, man, you kind of different on Lincoln than you is on Hot Mic. And I'm like, well, that's because Hot Mic is our show. Right. And then when I'm sitting in for Lincoln, like that's his show. I try to be respectful. I try to do my thing there, but I also try to be respectful of him and the station. Now, if it was my thing, hey, I do whatever. But I do try to be respectful of him and his platform and try to do things that, when he come back, he ain't gonna be like, man, what would how you just disrespect the space. So that's why sometimes where if you wonder like why I show up a little bit differently on Lincoln than I might on Hot Mic, even in terms of how I speak and stuff like that, like that's the reason. Like I'm trying to,
and that's reasonable.
Respect my man.
Yeah, I was the same way when I said, yeah, exactly, man. It's just almost like when it's the difference between the way you would treat your house or if you were babysitting a friend's house that's out of town. It's just something you ain't gonna do the same stuff you would do if it was your own house because it's your friend's house. And it's the same. You're right. The way you put that is perfect. It's the same thing with Lincoln. You don't want Lincoln to come back and then now you got to have a conversation with management. You know what I'm saying? That's unfair to Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So people might be picking up on it, but that's not a lack of character. That is character. That's showing respect. And that's
and look, Black Lion, welcome here. We ain't. In fact, I done told Black Lion, hey man, I done invited this brother to the beverage of his choice. I don't have to agree with Black Lion and everything that he say. To whatever his perspective or his opinion is his, right? And so, hey man, it is what it is.
You mean Kitty Lion? You mean Kitty Lion?
Yeah, we can have some milk. As Brother Dre said, if that's his beverage of choice, we can go down with that. But one thing about me, man, I am not scared of the debate or the conversation.
Why do people think you're scared? Why Black Lion thinks it's hilarious. He's been like this for his whole life his whole radio life. I don't know about him personally, but I don't know why anybody would think that somebody's afraid to have a conversation with Black Lion or anybody else. Dan writes, Nate banned Black Lion from here. Well, that's because because I'm building something, and if your presence threatens what I'm building, it ain't even nothing to think about. There's nothing to think about. And I've said this to Black Lion, and I know that Lincoln has said the same thing. Like, bruh, you coming at me like I'm not at work. That man is at work. He don't own that station. He's at work. And so while from your standpoint, it's all about freedom of speech, yeah, but that man is at work. And people forget that when you work in the radio business, they think it's yours. Nah, I'm sitting here because somebody else allowed me to sit here. Speaking about, back when I worked in radio. But people forget that.
And that whole freedom of speech thing, I tell people this. Freedom of speech, what's in the Constitution, is about what the government can't do to circumvent your ability to speak. It don't say nothing about what platforms can do about censoring you, shutting you down, whatever. Yeah, you can say whatever you want, but I ain't got to put it over my airwaves. I ain't got to put it in my newspaper. I ain't got to put it on my podcast. You can say it, but I ain't got to give you. I ain't got to let you say it on my platform. That is not squelching freedom of speech from a constitutional thing. Businesses do it all the time. It's like we were saying about like the school situation. Schools tell kids all the time what you can't say. Hey, I don't know about this anymore, but when I was in school, if you cussed, you was going to the office, right? You was going to the principal's office. You might get suspended. You might get swat. You might get whatever because you just couldn't. You can't be like, oh, F you, teacher. That's freedom of speech. It's like, yeah, you freedom of speech your butt on down to the office and get this couple days suspension or whatever it was. So it's like, yeah, you can say whatever, but that doesn't mean that there are not consequences to speech, or the fact that people might not let you do your speech on their platform.
Yeah.
What it does say is that the president can't send ICE after you, and arrest you and have you thrown in prison for something that you say. Although Trump be trying to push the boundaries of that limit, by canceling shows and all that type of stuff. Like the government involving is what freedom of speech is about, but ain't nobody got to let you on a platform to say what you got to say. As a private business, and
if what you got to say in any way threatens the money, you're gone, bro. You're not going to get on. Like, there's a whole lot of people that work at these stations. They're not going to let you get in the comment section or get online and say something that's going to threaten their business relationships. I don't know why this is so hard for people to understand. So all that white racism stuff you be doing, it's a wrap for all that, bro. It's just you have to know the room.
Yes.
You have to know the room and know where you at, and you have to respect other people, and what they are building and the constraints that they're dealing with. It don't mean they can't be them and be honest, but whenever you work for and even when you work for yourself, you still have constraints if you're trying to build relationships for whatever you're building with, and that's just being grown. Just being grown, man. So I get it. That's why I like digital media, because you can create your own, and then you can have the freedom to be you, and it gives you more freedom. But depending on what your plans are for your show, if you're looking for partnerships or whatever, is going to constrain you, because that's how human beings work. That's just how human beings work, man. And that's just how the world goes.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, there's so many different ways. So here's what I would say. Like, I don't share Black Lion's perspective on a lot of things, but there are probably a lot of people out there who hear what Black Lion say and they like, amen. And they hear what I say and they be like, get out of here.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing about the digital space is you can find your audience. There's an audience out there for what you're saying, and you can find it if they can find you, right? So let's just say if Black Lion had his own podcast where he want, which is what I would say. I don't know whether he does or doesn't, but for whatever point of view or message he got out, if he had his own show, there would be people who would tune into that, not just because they agree with what they say, but there would be some people who would hate what he would say, but would just want to tune in for the showtime factor of hearing what he would want to say. And while you might not be able to get conventional, like, there may be like your conventional businesses, your P&Gs, these companies that can't be associated with those types of thoughts or that language, you may not get them, but hey, you might find somebody out there that like what you're doing and want to support that. And now you even got these super chats now where people who are supporters of what you're doing will give money or buy memberships you on the air. So in these days and times in the digital space, it ain't necessarily about trying to be, you can create your own space and your own market for your message. And, and I'll say again, that concerned about it, that's what I would be doing. In fact, that's what we did. That's what we did.
Absolutely. Right. Because doers do and talkers talk. And again, somebody was saying, I'm not trying to defend Lincoln. I'm just, as someone who did a show on that station, sat in that seat multiple shows. I'm just telling you the reality of the business of working for somebody else. That's all I'm telling you. And y'all work for people too, and even if you got your own business, you're going to be very sensitive about your public conversations that might impact anything in that zone of your business. That's just the way it goes. And that doesn't mean that you got to sell out, because the creative part is being able to navigate that space and still be you, which I did superlatively. But, you know, everybody don't have that, and everybody looks at things differently. What I would say about Lincoln is, man, y'all better enjoy while there.
Absolutely.
Enjoying white hair, because you don't have a lot of shows like that in the country. And I can only think of 2, maybe 3 places in the entire country where you got a black station, no matter the constraints involved with that, with a long time. He's been on the air in Cincinnati for 50 years. That is unheard
More than that.
of.
What is it, like 51 or 52 now? Like 50 was like a year ago, a couple of years ago.
I mean, to have somebody on the air that has that kind of relationship in the same city is unheard of. You don't get that. That is extremely rare. And I'm telling people what you already know. I don't got to tell you that. Y'all just be messing with Lincoln, but y'all love Lincoln because y'all check out his show every day.
They do.
Y'all know. So
look, I say exactly what you said. I say that every time I sit in for Lincoln. It's like, one, I think you can underestimate like what Lincoln and his show does just for not just Black Cincinnati, but for Cincinnati in general. Like the conversations that Lincoln is able to have on his show, even the funner, you know, more ridiculous conversations is a part of that community, that sense of community. And that's really what he's created, because when you think about the callers who call in, some of the personalities, I often feel like this too. Like you get an opportunity when you call in the Lincoln show for your thoughts to go out over airways. And I got to think like many people probably ain't got a lot of people listening to them, you know, listening to their points of view and being able to get those perspectives out beyond just somebody in your household or in your particular group. And that is a tremendous thing. Like if you don't appreciate that for what that is, for whatever WDBZ's reach is, if you're fortunate enough to get on and talk to Lincoln about whatever issue it is, you know, your perspective is going out to thousands of people, if not millions of people around the area who, for however long, the 1 or 2 minutes, whatever Lincoln gives, I usually give a little bit longer. I let you get like 3 or 4 when I'm hosting. They tell me that's too long, but you know, I like to let the people talk a little bit. But that's an amazing thing, because you got a lot of people out there, ain't nobody listening to them. They don't get an opportunity to share their perspectives or their thoughts with anybody, let alone thousands of people. So, and once that's gone, it's gone.
And when it's gone, it's gone. It's good. Your day ain't gonna never be the same. You've been growing up listening to that man for 10, 15, 20 years, 2, 3 years. It becomes a part of your daily routine. So, but I get it though. I understand people's criticisms, and I'm not saying that you're not founded. I was just giving you an insider perspective. Black Land Rights, Nate, cut the crap. Lincoln got brand new ones. Ross Love moved on. Lincoln is protecting pink feelings. However, he allows races on in spite of his black audience's feelings. Say the BS, you're stressing. Okay, brother, I'm not telling you wrong. I'm sure you got your take. I'm not trying to argue with you. If you say
but you
so.
You know what? I get this too, because, and I said this last time I was on, ironically, White Lion. It seems like every time I'm on, he calls.
Oh, yeah.
And people, they like, man, why y'all let White Lion on and say what he say and blah, blah, blah. And I guess I think about it, and I get it. People regard that as the black station and the black, but I look at it a little bit differently.
Right.
Like, even if I disagree with what he say, it's almost like that's an opportunity to hear how the other side think, and I always counter that narrative, because I think what happens a lot, and I think this happens up the dial on 700 WLW, is you don't often get a lot of those thoughts challenged. Like they're preaching to the choir by and large, and you never get to hear those thoughts being challenged. So I always like to hear him talk because it's kind of like on this show. I wanna let you talk because I want to kind of hear and see how I'm gonna chop that up, or bring facts or accurate information. Or if you're saying something crazy, I'm gonna tell you why it's crazy. I'm gonna do it with some facts, that cut that down. And I think like it's the whole part about not being afraid of the conversation. But I get it, it's like because a lot of people feel like, well, if black callers called up the dial, they wouldn't let them on. I don't know whether that's true or not. I mean, I don't know whether black people are trying to call in and they're not letting their calls get on air because I don't listen to 700 tough like that every day. I chime in every now and again. I don't hear a lot of black voices on there, but I don't know if that's because they're not calling or they're being excluded. I always say to I think more black people should call. Like, I think black people should flood 700 WLW, Willie Cunningham, and all them shows. Like, we got it backwards. I think, like, black folks should be calling up there every day and let them tell you they're not going to put you on the air. Then that's a different conversation. But don't just sit back and be like, oh, they talk about this up the dial. Call in. Say what you got to say. Get with Bill Cunningham. Be like White Lion is on the Buzz. Don't let them have their little narratives on their talk show and it doesn't go challenged by us.
I had a buddy named Glenn from Mason. He used to do that. He used to call into all those shows. They knew him. Everybody in the chat knows Glenn from Mason. He's not with us now, but absolutely. You brought up Cunningham. Cunningham is a unique talent. I mean, aside from his politics, that man is extremely talented as a broadcaster. Very, very highly listenable. Very easy to sit back and listen to. I may not agree with a lot he's trying to say, but he's hilarious. And boy, you can get sucked in. The next thing you know, it's 2 hours. You just listen to him talk. And Cincinnati's been very lucky in that way. In terms of that radio environment, having the Buzz, these other stations. If you're a talk radio person, at least you've got something. This was before the digital age kind of exploded. Now you got even more with different podcasts and live streams. So, the future is whatever people decide to get out and make it. It is. I mean, Cincinnati can continue to have a voice like that if people decide to get into that space. So, Twin Rice, Glenn was okay. Glenn was truly missed. Yes, he is. Good guy. But that's all I got. I appreciate you, Kevin. We've been going on here, but just wanted to vibe with the audience a little bit. We'll be back on Friday at 1:00. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch up with you real soon.